We are going to jump right in as usual because we do have quite a few items on the agenda. We are going to start. We have representatives for the Magruder Family Resource Center. And I have to apologize. I know Rebecca Carter, and I'm assuming Miss Simone Boyd. And one more, could you introduce yourself?
I'm Louis Holliday.
Welcome, and thank you all for being here. For our committee, you have the materials. And this was set up, if you saw, it's really one combined request, but we're going to kind of talk about it in two different pieces. Just a little bit of the history, if you recall, Ms. Simone Boyd submitted a request to a council member, which is how it came to the committee. And then because that is a MNPS-owned building, as we get a request for any capital projects for a MNPS or a Metro building, I wanted to make sure our MNPS and Metro counter folks, which would be general services, were on board. So I did reach out to David Proffitt with MNPS and said, hey, this has come in, is this something you're in support of? He said, absolutely, but there's even other things. So he kind of added on to that. So we really are looking at Magruder as one, but I have it split up as two because the item with the request that you have is just for the 1.75 million. And then I will read to you the additional items that MNPS requested. So I'll turn it over to you all.
Thank you. Thank y'all so much. I'm grateful to be here. Thank y'all to the committee, but also thank y'all for the guidance. I'm just a resident. I'm a North Nashville resident, and submitting and being here is a little intimidating, but y'all have been very patient. So I'm particularly grateful for y'all's guidance. I would just like to say, it's me. I'm a North Nashville resident. Mr. Holliday, he's a North Nashville resident. Rebecca Carter, she's from the United Way. And I would just like to say, even though it's us two residents sitting here, that Magruder Center, it embodies and represents so many people. So many people put their hearts and hands in the work of Magruder to make it work. So I just want to honor them and bring them into the space. So, my connection point to Magruder is when I moved to the neighborhood. We did some art programming there, met some neighbors, and it kind of grew from there. Earlier this year, the Nashville Soccer Club was there. They were there painting, and it was just people from all over the community. So it's really important to our community. In 2016, a group of residents began advocating for repairs. So Magruder is a retired school building. It was the John Early School building decades ago, and it was closed. So it sat empty for a long time, and Metro Public Schools, and Rebecca will talk more about this, how it came, but it hasn't been updated in decades. And so while good work is happening there, the conditions are very, very challenging. And Rebecca's the one who actually reminded me, there hasn't been a toilet, there's been a missing toilet in the women's bathroom for years. And I was like, oh gosh, you just get used to it. You just get used to it. And so, in 2016, residents started advocating for those renovations. They were approved under Mayor Berry, but due to some changes, they were green-lighted at the end of 2020. And because of conditions beyond our control, what was promised we weren't able to get. So that's why we're here. We're requesting, like MPHA, that gap funding to make the building ADA compliant, to renovate the restrooms, and to open up the entrance, and also to have some private offices for some counseling and things of that nature. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Holliday. Mr. Holliday, he is on the advisory committee for Magruder. He's on the participatory budget committee. He's the spokesperson for 37208, but more than that, he's just a wonderful human being. So he's going to talk about why Magruder is important.
Thank you, Ms. Fuller. I got acquainted with Magruder Center back in 2010, and I must say it was one of the most fascinating social services organization that I've ever encountered. They were always made people feel welcome and always willing to help people. And I think this is not only an investment in real human beings, but it's an investment in an icon of our community, and that is the Magruder Family Resource Center, which provides such services as food to feed the stomachs of our children. It provides resources to help people pay their rent, keep a roof over their head, water and heat in their home. It also provides opportunities for people to enrich their lives through their workforce development program. Magruder Center is a beacon that gives light, a light of hope to a multitude of people in our community. And I'm trusting on behalf of the community that you will help this center keep this light burning. Thank you.
So my connection to McGruder is that United Way actually has the lease agreement with Metro Schools. And we have been a supporter of programming out of the McGruder Center for decades. And so Simone and I met each other back in, I think, 2016, when we had the opportunity to work with some representatives from the mayor's office. They were a part of a Bloomberg team that came into Nashville to really help reimagine what that space could look like and how it could better serve the community. And so we engaged community members in a series of listening sessions, and they really are the ones who helped to design what we wanted the McGruder Center to become. And so we were so fortunate to receive funding from a capital investment budget years ago. Yes, which back then may have been fantastic, but we know a lot has happened since then, and the price has really changed in what we could get for the amount of money that we had. And so we have been able to do significant, there's a wing to the building. It's a newer part of the building. If I had to guess, I'd say it was built in the 70s just because of like the architecture, but it was uninhabitable. Although we did have many animals that enjoyed living there. We cleared them out, found them new homes, and we have been able, with the funding from that capital investment, to totally renovate that space, which is going to be opening in early 2023. They're almost done with the renovations now, which will be an amazing workforce development space for the community. What we weren't able to do is what Simone mentioned, and that was some of the improvements to the other. It's almost like 3 parts of the building. So 2/3 of the building we weren't able to do anything with because we had to really focus that funding on getting a space that we couldn't even walk into up to par. And so with the investment that we're requesting, it would really allow us to complete the work that we had hoped would have happened with that initial investment. So the community really wanted, it's an old school, so I'm sure like everyone knows, you walk in a building, there's like offices on each side, long hallways with lots of doors. They really want to open it up and make it a place where people can come and fellowship and be together, kind of like a coffee shop vibe, not an old school building vibe. And so that's part of what the interior renovations are. More importantly, it's the accessibility piece. So we have partners in the building, probably there's at least 20 different programs that operate out of the building. Half of them are probably Catholic Charities programs because they're our lead agency leading the work in that space. But then the other half are community partners who come in to deliver the programming. Several of those partners are operating in the second floor of the main building, which is not ADA accessible. So anytime they offer trainings or classes or opportunities to meet, they have to make accommodations to serve the clients that they're serving. So it's great for office space if you can get up there. But like Simone was sharing with me the other day, and I didn't realize this, one of our partners that works on the second floor of that building brings her child with her to work every day and carries him up the stairs because he is unable to walk. Yeah, and I was like, oh gosh, that's a real problem. So we've addressed ADA issues in the new building. We really, really want to be able to address those issues in the older building so that it can just be so much more meaningful to the individuals in that community. And then I can speak, I don't know if you want me to talk about David's request. We actually went to meet with David last week because we wanted to make sure that he was aware of this and felt good about it. But then at the same time, he said, there are some things that we would love to see happen there that would really just ensure the integrity of the building long term. And it's things that, kind of like when you're doing your own renovations to your house, it's the things you hate to do, but you have to do. He said the roof on building A and B, which are those 2 front buildings, is in really poor condition. The windows, we had actually hoped to make some improvement to the windows with our initial plan, and those in the main building had to be scratched. And then the envelope of the building, which is basically the mortar and brick and exterior of the building, he said that really needs to be addressed so that long-term the building is still in good shape to operate out of. And so that was the additional that he had offered as some things he would also like to be addressed. I will say, I really feel strongly that the priority that we presented initially, that is the community giving feedback and being extremely engaged in a process. And so I would love to honor that request from that community if given the chance.
Right. Any questions from committee members?
More so a comment. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the programming that you do at Magruder Center. Looking at some of the conditions that the building has endured, it's amazing that you've been able to do what you're doing. I just wonder how many folks are served in that building annually. Can you tell us that?
I think right now, there has been a decline since 2020 just because of COVID, and I think it will jump significantly when we open the new wing, but right now they serve about 2,000 people a year who are from the North Nashville community. They have one of the partners in the building is Preston Taylor. They actually run a summer and after school program there. And so in their summer program, they serve up to 60 kids in the summertime whose parents live and work in that community. They feed them every meal while they're there. The kitchen, which we were able to renovate with an MDHA grant several years ago. It's a beautiful commercial kitchen, so we have the capacity to do things like that. But then we just fall short on a couple other areas. So,
thanks for being here. Just because I honestly didn't read, what's the additional that David came up with? What's that dollar amount?
3.36 million. So the total request would be 5.1.
Okay, so are we going to handle it in 2 votes, or are we going to do it all together, or?
I think for ease, I would do it together. I did talk to MNPS, David Profit, and Velvet with General Services. Currently, the work that's being done, that's been referenced, is being contracted through General Services. So the funding would go to General Services to continue and expand those contracts based on what's approved. So it would either be the total either the 1.75 that you saw in the handout plus the 3.36, or just as a total 5.1.
Okay. I'll say, just because I deal with construction a lot with my husband and all that, that the stuff that David has brought to the attention, it's you can fix stuff on the inside and put toilets and all that kind of stuff, but when you start having roof leaks, and Mr. Henry knows this really well right now.
Water problems?
When you start getting, so I think, me personally, I think it's imperative to go ahead and look at it holistically and do look at it at a long term, not just let's make it pretty, and ADA is not pretty. ADA is a necessity, but you know what I'm saying. So however we want to handle it, but I'm for both of these things, whatever the
Components,
the combined amount is, but also because this is a Metro-owned building. This is our asset that we are investing into ourselves that gives back to an entire community every single day. But again, it's our asset. So I know that's maybe for another conversation, but that's really important to me, is that we're investing in what we already own. And so I appreciate that y'all have been dealing with what you've been dealing with. I mean, we have a lot of school buildings and that need attention. So I appreciate that y'all just stuck it out with no toilet.
and we have been able to make some improvements to the property over the years. Back in 2011, we engaged the whole community around building the playground that's there. So I would say just over the past 11 years, there has definitely been a priority, not only from United Way, but the community, to do what we could. But, the cost to do these other major things is just beyond what we have any control over.
Sure, absolutely.
Any other questions?
It's really a comment. I don't have a question. I've heard about Magruder for many years, and I had the chance to go visit. I guess it was a couple months ago with another group, and tour the building and be exposed to some of the programming. And when I think about the examples of true partnership and collaboration, and like truly the spirit of what a building like that, a resource center, is supposed to do. It was beautiful. The culinary kitchen, the garden, the court program, I can't remember what it's called. It was very impressive. I would encourage anybody if you've not been there, to go see it. when I think about, again, collaboration efforts that work in the city, I'm familiar with Martha O'Brien, for example, and the stuff happening at the Oasis Center, certainly Cousins a friend, but I'd heard about McGrew for so many years, but I had never been to it. And so it's a nice coincidence to have the opportunity to support this request, because I heard the whole story about the budget and the last 2 years, so I saw the sort of the stuff that's already in mid-construction, right? And like, we need money to finish this, so it's tangible, it's there, and so it's a lot easier to connect that. And so, just congratulations, thank you for the work that happens there, very impressive.
Did you want to make a motion?
I guess that would be good. That's good. I'll make the motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion and a second for the full 5.1 million for funding. Are there any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I have 5 in favor, 0 against.
You'd feel really dumb if you were against it.
Was it 5.1, right?
5.1 million. Yep. I think it's 5.11. It's
Y'all can't be crying.
Right.
That happened last time and I fell into it. And I'm not doing that again on camera.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank you guys so much.
Can I get a lead sponsor?
When we have our grand reopening,
Oh, I don't care.
y'all want me to be
That'd be
there?
great. That'd be
Councilwoman
great.
Campbell, would you like to be the lead sponsor on that? Sure. Thank you.
Mary Jo, did we get the second request? Did we get that form? The second part of it?
The second piece of it is what Rebecca said. It specifically was the window replacement, brick veneer, building envelope waterproofing, roof replacement, and it also included was the elevator.
It's in the
shaft.
email?
No, I have just said this from, but I can send it.
Oh, yeah, can
It's
you
just
forward that?
yeah, I will forward
Yeah,
it.
perfect.
And that'll go in the legislation.
Yep. Great.
Do you want me to go get Bordeaux collector?
Thank you, yes.
When you come back, can you shut the door after everyone? There's a little bit of chatter up there.
Yeah.
Oh, is that where everyone's at?
Yes, because
I was
we're in the, I didn't think we would finish by 5 and the full chamber is booked at 5, so we're in here, but we have so many guests today that I said we just have a holding room.
I thought it was a whole other committee in there.
I did too. I was like, dang, what's going on? It's a party.
Busy day at the courthouse. So. Hi, we're gonna have you sit here. We are? Yep. We have the Bordeaux Collective.
Yes, please.
please.
Thank you.
Read these. Sneak back in.
Too much stuff. No, over here.
Thank you for being here. We have Sally Hussey with 50 Forward and Charmin Banks with Creative Girls Rock.
Yes.
And we're gonna turn it over to you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, y'all. We really are so very excited to be here. I am Sally Hussey, and I'm so very proud to be the CEO of 50 Forward. We are a 66-year-old nonprofit, and our mission is to support, enhance, and champion the lives of adults over the age of 50.
And I'm Charmin Bates. I'm the founder and executive director of Creative Girls Rock. We are a 5-year nonprofit organization based here in Nashville. I work with young girls and women to educate and empower them to utilize their creative talents to enhance their lives and the world around them.
I think you all have some information in front of you, a little packet of information that provides really a great deal of information about the Bordeaux Collective and really about the history of how we came to be here today. And we don't want to go over any of that information. We wanted to provide, obviously, a lot more detail about the collective and really give you a little bit more information about this collective gathering space, a community hub, and the importance really of locating one in Bordeaux. You know, there are so many great examples of a community hub or a collective gathering space in other areas of Nashville, Casa Azafran in South Nashville, and the Youth Opportunity Center in Charlotte, close to the Nations or close to downtown, depending on your point of view. But there's really not one in Bordeaux, and I think we just want to change that. I think we also know that there really are limited dollars to invest, but we want to share with you really the impact that a resource center, a connector, if you will, a hub like this can make in Bordeaux for thousands of individuals, women and girls, families, and older adults. We don't want to talk about the growth that has happened in Nashville. I think everybody knows about that. And it's happening too in Bordeaux and all those surrounding zip codes. And I think we know that we will see an increase in that growth. And we also know that the population is also aging, and that money has really not been spent over the last decade in this area of town. And we hope that we can see an investment in this part of town. There are numerous social service agencies that provide service in Bordeaux and North Nashville. They do phenomenal work because we partner with them. But even all that great work that's being done, there's still barriers that exist for vulnerable populations, whether it's women and girls or families or older adults, those barriers that allow them really to connect to services. Barriers like transportation, technology, access to technology, and honestly, there are some cultural barriers. But those barriers can keep individuals from connecting to food, to housing resources, mental health help, cultural enrichment activities, and sometimes even some basic needs. But our organizations and so many other nonprofits build on partnerships with other agencies. And we've been cultivating those relationships with nonprofits for years because, honestly, I think nonprofits know how to build partnerships really, really well. That's just what the nonprofit sector does. And I think we all know, too, that individuals connect to resources if they have a trusted relationship with a nonprofit organization. And they will connect with a resource if it's a Creative Girls Rock, or if it's a Nashville Food Project, or a Meharry Medical College, and if they can see that resource. And that's why we want to build a collective hub like this, so vulnerable populations can see those in a collective space and connect. So we want to be a little more specific, so I'm going to turn it over to Charmin now.
So your investment in this Bordeaux Collaboration Center will help focus on three main functions. So one of those would be it will connect residents to needed resources, and I'll provide a couple examples later. Two, it will serve as an anchor for Creative Girls Rock and 50 Forward to create a safe space for our young girls, our adults, and seniors to have a collaboration space, and for other nonprofits and state and metro agencies to come in, and it could be a town hall meeting or something like this in the Bordeaux community. And third, it will be a flexible space allowing anyone to gather, whether it's a party, a team building exercise, kind of going back to I mentioned that community space in the Bordeaux community. Outlining your packets, as you can see, are statistics relating to the Bordeaux area. So 36,000 children, family, and seniors live in this area, and it's growing daily. In zip code 37218, 16% of seniors over the age of 65 and 27% of youth under the age of 18 live in poverty. In zip code 37208, 60% of seniors and 26% of youth live in poverty. And those are the two zip codes in the Bordeaux community. A collaborative space that allows more of the city resources to have a presence to connect with people who need them will have a tremendous impact in this community. And we've seen it in other areas in Nashville, just not in Bordeaux. For example, I have a parent and her daughter who just relocated to Nashville from Ohio, and her daughter was enrolled in creative arts programming to help with her autism and her anxiety, and that was something she wanted to continue as she relocated to Nashville. Relocated here, enrolled into another program across town, and her daughter she didn't do well because it wasn't other girls that looked like her. And I'm just being 100% honest. And her parent, her mother, and I'm trying not to say her name obviously, but her mom contacted me, discovered Creative Girls Rock and the program that we're doing, and immediately she enrolled her daughter into Creative Girls Rock, and she has not missed a class since. Her motor skills, her social skills has definitely improved, and I'm just thankful to have them a part.
Sure. Another quick example of how connecting to resources makes a difference. An older couple, I'll call them the Carters. They own a home in Bordeaux, and Mr. Carter is very proud of the fact that over the years he was able to make repairs in his home. They're in their late 70s, I believe, now. But the repairs over the last year or so, he hasn't been able to make them because he had a couple of falls, broke some bones. But they've connected over the years with 54 Bordeaux Senior Center. And so he knew to call us. Our care manager, Ron, went out and discovered pretty quickly, they live only on Social Security, that after the repairs really hadn't been kept up with over the last year or two, and now the home was unsafe. But 50 Forward has a partnership with Westminster Home Connection. So we repaired the roof, put in insulation. There was a kitchen window that was broken and had been leaking all over the kitchen floor. Replaced the windows, some drywall, put some handrails in, and now the home is safe, and it's an asset that they have that they can keep and pass down to children and grandchildren. And as a side note, we talk about and understand that housing is huge, and I'm glad we're doing some things to address that. I think folks forget that housing is, for seniors, a little bit different. They want to stay in their own homes first before they get pushed out to another place. And this allows, when folks can connect to resources that enable them to stay in their homes, that should be the first opportunity. And with connections, when people can see those connections, whether it's young children, women, families, it makes a huge difference first. One more final and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, and then as of March this year, Creative Girls Rock and 50 Forward has created a program. We're offering art therapy to the seniors to help cope with stress and anxiety. And one of the seniors came up to me after our class and just said, thank you. This workshop series has taught me patience, and it's definitely helped with my anxiety. And ironically, I just shared this article with Sally this past week, an article posted that mentioned that several studies demonstrate that art-based therapy can improve mood, reduce stress levels, and decrease perception of pain. And so as this article and so many studies have shown, creative arts help reduce anxiety and depression. And there's another quote I wanted to depression and intergenerational classes are just one way to help address these issues. So this collaboration, this new space with these two organizations being as an anchor will be designed to not only address these issues, but welcome people of all ages to gather and create a relationship, which is the first step of seeking additional resources.
I think we could give many more examples, but we just really want to create a space where other nonprofits can come in, Metro, state programs could come in, whether that's tax help, food security programs, intergenerational programs, and we are proud to be the anchors of this of this new collective space, and gratefully ask your support with a gift of $5 million.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Thank y'all for being here and for the work that you do. I think nobody could question the value of what you guys provide for that entire community. My hesitancy is building a building for a nonprofit that we don't own, right? Because there's lots of nonprofits out there that do amazing things, and so our job is to figure out the best way to spend these tax dollars. So we just had Magruder come in,
sure.
and that's our building, and we're investing in that building, or this committee voted to invest in that building. And I'm wondering, because I don't want to lose your program, and obviously you have a history where you're successful and all of that. You just need a space. So I'm wondering if it's possible to have a collaboration and have this at Magruder, and maybe, you know what I mean? And that way we're continuing to invest in Metro assets, but continuing to expand offerings from that address, right? Where everyone can benefit. That would make me more comfortable. I don't want to vote against this because but I can't vote for it just because it's really tough to say let's spend taxpayer dollars to build a building for a nonprofit, regardless of how obviously impactful it is. I mean, that's not the question at all. Is that a possibility to look at the Magruder space, even if it's an expansion of that building?
Yeah, what you may not know is that they're undergoing renovations now, but now there's been more funding added
A
for
lot
additional
more.
space and for it to be a more open building than a school building.
But that is in North Nashville, and we're talking about Bordeaux.
Okay.
Yes,
So we're
two
talking
different
about two
locations.
different areas, and so I don't think that would be conducive. I'll just
Thank you
answer
for
you.
that. I was gonna say, and I actually do programming with, I partner with them often, but it is in two different areas. And I honestly didn't know that's what their pitch was.
No,
So,
that's helpful.
I also want to add that although this is not a Metro-owned building, 50 Forward has been serving the Metro community all over Davidson County. You have locations throughout the county. This particular location, and Bordeaux specifically, has not had the kind of investments from the city to return on what 50 Forward has given the city. And that needs to be taken into account. No, it's not a Metro building, however, they are serving the Metro Nashville community in many, many ways, serving thousands of individuals over 66 years. And I think that it would be prudent for us, for Metro, to make an investment to help them continue that work. My question is about the amount. Currently, you have 1.25 million secured for the building. So if you start a capital campaign and funding, the $5 million that and then there's 5.3 million that you need for the building. So if you can kind of talk about the numbers.
Thank you.
absolutely.
Yeah. So the project is a little more expensive because obviously, and you see renderings, I think, in the information that we gave you. This capital project is a little bit different if we were just one agency doing a capital project. Obviously, we have some building expenses and even then some post-building expenses. If we were a single agency, either one of us were doing a capital on our own, we wouldn't have maybe incur some of the costs that we will now because we have a wonderful attorney who is working on, we've had to have a memorandum of understanding, and now we have a partnership agreement moving on to a legal agreement because 50 Forward owns the land, but now the building will be an asset. We have to divide up some of the understanding, and the cost associated with that is a little bit different now that you are multiple agencies going into one building. But we want to do it the right way. And 50 Forward, and thank you for those comments. We've been around for a while, and we started this project 4 years ago with the understanding of we want to be a community partner, and this is really for the community, no matter what it looks like. We've got land, but it's about serving others. And we talk about the goal is to be 50 at some point and live a great life, but it starts with serving when Charmin gets them at that young tender age.
Yeah.
So it looks a little different for us, and we want to. But we've incurred some costs, and that 1.2 we've already started spending down. So the building is 5.3, but the total project cost is a little over 7.
And in addition to that, so we have the lawyer fees, so we have secured, and then Moody Nolan, it has provided the renderings and will be the project manager for this. So we're working with them, and those are fees. So those are services. So as far as we secured that 1 million, however, we've had to cut out checks and we have to spend that. So the overall, if you add that up, would be the total what we need for the project cost for the building.
So 5 million would be strictly for the building.
Correct.
Are the two agencies the only two residential agencies that will be located there? And let me, I guess following up a little bit of the comments that have been made, is there a earned income strategy to support?
Great question.
I guess what if you only got 3 million? Is there room for appetite for and a network of supporters where you could, go get a $2 million mortgage and service it through debt from earned income strategies, whether it's rental payments of the residents or other residents or other of the partners, as opposed to, which of course requires a total different way of, and I only share that again, just from a,
You've got some experience.
right,
Get it.
right, and because that was the model, right? That's the model, and that model wasn't easy, but it worked, right? It worked and it continues to work, and we continue to service debt, and so I'm, again,
Sure.
because from the perspective of resources are limited, right, and you want to leverage them in the most possible, in the most effective way, are there other ways of skinning the cat where these funds are an important anchor to make it happen, but not the only
Yes.
means of support?
We talk about that all the time, and we know there are other ways, and earned income will be a piece of it. We do believe firmly that in Bordeaux, the community ought to be able to use this building. And so, but there will be some ways to earn some revenue in the community space and in that third group of offices that we put in there too. But there's going to be, I think that first year we want to figure that out, but there is room for other foundation partners to invest in this too. Yes.
Absolutely. Yes, so the total that you all are asking for is 8 million?
Five. Yes.
$5.3
We would like a $5
million.
million investment from Metro.
I was
Yes,
looking
or
at
from
the
the
past
ARP
agenda,
funds.
we had
Correct.
8 in
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think that was an old.
So,
that's an-
5, not 5.3.
Correct.
That's the total building cost. Yes,
Okay.
we'd be like 5. Yes.
Okay,
From
and
you.
then, so you all have acquired the land already?
Yes.
Okay.
It's on about 50 forward, yes.
Okay. Did you all, before this, get a chance to, I mean, we have several Metro properties that we have sitting there. And I don't know if that's something that we have explored, right? Have you all had a conversation with the mayor's office or anyone at Metro looking at Metro-owned property?
We presented to the mayor's office this exact same project that we are looking to, because currently right now 50 Forward, the smaller version of 50 Forward that can only hold about 50 people, sits on this land. And so we presented to expand this, well, actually to tear it down and to rebuild. And we did present that to the mayor's office maybe 6 months ago, that we unfortunately did not get that funding.
Correct. Since we own the land, I think that, and it's, we started this process again 4 years ago with in 2019 with a big needs assessment, gaps analysis, and brought every nonprofit to the table. That's why we sort of are where we are now, knowing that nonprofits want to be in this space. And the discussion at that time was about Bordeaux versus North. And it really was about, we need a place in Bordeaux. And since we own the land and we're willing to build on it, the discussion sort of stopped about moving away from this spot, since 54 had already owned it, and our board of directors is gung-ho about building right there. So we didn't look further about moving off that land.
I'm kind of in the same boat. It's a little hard for me.
Sure.
Like I get it, Bordeaux and North are two separate places, such as Casa Safran being in South, and then you have Southeast.
Right.
And we don't have something like that in Southeast. And so I start to wonder, well, then are we placing things? Yeah, that would be amazing, right? Let's place something like this in every neighborhood. I think the work you're doing is important. I really do. Where I would sit is either abstaining or maybe even meeting you in the middle and not doing the full amount.
Sure.
It's just,
I have
I
a
have
question about a
concerns.
construction timeframe.
Thank you for asking.
The deadline on funds.
Because when do our funds have to be expended for that?
They have to be spent by 12/31/26 if they're obligated by 12/31/24.
Okay.
We do have, we can't put a shovel in the ground until we're 90%, but we do have other asks out, and we do have other nonprofit foundation partners who, if I'm being transparent, and I think we want to be, they would love to see the city invest some in this area. And so,
And that would help you leverage to get other support.
Absolutely.
amen. If we have even some funding from this arm, we will get the rest of the funding. It will come. Sharman and I aren't going to rest until we do. We're already not resting, but we will get it. And I think this will go a long way in helping us secure that. And then if we get 90% of the funding, there is a piece the community wants to invest. It won't be much, but we need the last little piece of this capital campaign will be the community investing a piece of this. And then we will put a shovel in the ground. And we want to do that really in the spring or summer, at the very end, late fall of 2023.
So, again, we're on, I think, on the same page. We're just having trouble with it. I think, I wish we could have had a conversation about the surplus real estate that we have, because Davidson County has a ton of it. I mean, a ton of it. It's ridiculous. And we've just had a third party, Ernst & Young, I think, was come in, and they're doing this whole list of whatever. So it's good information. That'd be my first suggestion. What would be, instead of us building the building, just straight out, I mean, I know there's more cost to it, but the bulk of it, $5 million is the bulk of what this is. What, if you were to say a minimum amount investment from Metro, lesser than $5 million, that would be? Okay.
I have a comment. I just want to add, I've looked at the surplus list recently, and although there are a lot of surplus buildings, there are not a lot in North Nashville and Bordeaux that Metro own. And the fact that you own this land makes sense that that's where you would build it. So I don't have any issues with that. I do have an issue with the amount, though. I think we don't I set a precedent for funding the entire amount. However, I think we do need to support the effort, and I think that you will be able to leverage funding that Metro gives you in order to raise the rest of the funding. And so with that, I would like to make a motion to recommend $2.5 million to this group for this purpose.
Can I ask something for the 2.5, right? What if we specifically allocate it to their programming? And so it's us putting money into the programming, freeing up some of, I don't know if you all have, like, your budget is specifically allocated in a certain way, like you have a donor, I donated for this. I don't know how much wiggle room you have. I would be comfortable voting for 2.5 for their programming. That frees up some of their money so they could move it over to whatever building costs.
I don't know, because most times things are designated for
That's
certain
what I'm asking.
purposes.
Yeah.
So I don't know that they would be able to do that.
We need capital right now.
Yeah.
We
They need
don't
capital
need
expense.
programming.
Yeah.
We need capital.
But the land, how much land do you own?
It's a little less than an acre.
So it's a 10,000 square foot building, probably 10,000 square feet of parking.
Yes, it's 9,000. Yeah.
So you have
Maybe
another
no.
10,000 square feet of excess space. Is there any plans for that?
No, parking, yes, and grass, yes, because we do need green space, yes, yes.
I'm sorry. Need a playground.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna be
it's-
honest.
There's
yeah,
lots
we
of
need,
space.
Yes,
there's no,
yeah.
no, correct.
I don't even know if Metro wants this or not. I'm just trying to make this work in my brain, because
Yeah,
I do want to support it, but I again, not to beat it into the ground. Is there a way, I know you own the land, and again, Metro would have to weigh in, for Metro to have part ownership of that building? That way we are investing in something that we would own, that we would have the ability to put some of our services there. Maybe social services could use that. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. That's again, a larger conversation with the mayor's office of the needs of the city. But it would make it a lot easier for me to say yes to $2.5 million of an investment if we owned at least part of that building and had control to be able to use it. Because we do have, I want to push some services out to Bordeaux. It's
needed.
north,
Yeah.
100%. There's no question about it. And that area of the county has been historically. I'll say neglected. That's a good word. Neglected, and some unsavory things have been put out there that I know that the community doesn't like. So I want to invest in it, and I think that's important. But so maybe is that
I think we both are CEOs of nonprofit organizations with boards of directors. And so, we both have bosses too.
Sure.
I don't know the.
At the very least,
And I wouldn't even-
some space would be available.
And we talk about that in the proposal,
Social
yes.
services, for
Absolutely.
food pantry,
Absolutely.
emergency management.
And
Yes.
we mentioned that in our
Yeah.
presentation,
Exactly.
having access for Metro to have access to this facility as well. As you
Absolutely.
mentioned, and even, the diaper connection and having them to be a part and, pass out diapers in the community because that's something that's needed in that Bordeaux community. I can't stress that enough. And as Sally mentioned, yes, I would have to go back to the board because that's something, we pitch what you guys,
100%. Yeah. And honestly, general services may be like,
Metro would have
no.
to, I can't even, Metro.
We've got, we
Right.
are a COVID vaccination and testing
Sure.
site right now. We, on 4 of our 5 Metro or Davidson County locations of 54, we are vaccine testing sites that we took over when Metro closed them down. They
Yep.
called us and we said, absolutely, we've got the space, we'll do it. And we are working on a partnership right now with the clerk's office to provide a mobile tag kiosk because seniors tend to hold up the line. And we said, well, bring that out and let us do it at our spot.
And so it's those
those-
type of programs
Yes, we're
that.
wide open to that, yes.
I love the spirit of like thinking innovatively about it, and so it seems to me, just the appetite from reading the room is that there's 2 possibilities, 2 tracks to like take it. Like I don't think you're gonna walk out of here today with 5 million, but I think
Okay.
there's opportunity to think about a couple of different ways to skin the cat. One is this very innovative. I don't know if Metro.
Do we want,
So
One
I
is
guess
that.
going back to the motion.
One-
Yeah.
so we have a motion, I don't have a second, but so we either have to do that, or do we want to defer this conversation until we have more information about what different partnerships? I'm not trying to influence, I'm just trying to make sure we don't.
Would it get you where you want to be if it was a leasehold right, not an actual ownership, because that's problematic, into the space that's not programmed yet, where then the city council or the city then can select what services goes in there?
Yeah, I just think,
'Cause you can't have
right, and this is a conversation that more people have to get involved in, and I agree. I do like, I want to support reducing to the 2.5. I think that's across the board, I think more, easier for this group to swallow, and I think probably the council as a whole to swallow as well, is to take a portion of that, right? So I want to support that, but I want to support reducing, but then defer to have these conversations, to talk about, is it a leasehold for $0 that Metro has for a certain percentage or square footage or whatever it is of the
Program
building,
selection.
so that we are, again, we are investing in Metro assets, sort of, right? And then, or do we, however we want to work it out, talk to your boards. These are
Sure.
in-depth conversations. And then whatever that outcome is, and maybe it is, no, we're not going to lease, this is our spot and whatever. I don't think that's where you're going to end up. But let's just say you are where you are right now and it's still 2.5. Come back and we'll handle that then, I think. Is that fair?
At the will of the committee, I think it's not feasible that Metro could have a shared ownership in the building. I think it's very obvious that Metro could have a space in the building, which they've already demonstrated through their other buildings. So, I'm okay moving forward, but I'm at the will of the committee. If you all think we should hold, defer, and get some more discussion.
I just want to understand some more to support, because I'm ready to support that motion, assuming that that there's clarity, like I'm hearing from you, yes, a model in which one of our important investors is Metro to the tune of $2.5 million.
Yes.
We feel comfortable that we can then go to, the philanthropic community and raise and go to a financial institution and mortgage the rest of it and build a model around it where this thing can become a reality. And then 3 years from now, this $2.5 million get leveraged into a $6 million business.
Yes.
That is sustained by, and so that where
Exactly.
you build a sustainability model into the earned income strategies that,
That we have
some of it
planned
may be
out.
philanthropy, some of it may be earned income.
Yes.
And if you say, yeah, we can build that model with $2.5 million, that's,
We can build that model with 2.5.
Yes.
then in that case, what's left is there is a possibility of deciding how how does Metro get involved? I mean, what's the role of Belmont? Is it an ownership piece or is it just a partnership piece? But that could be decided later, but at least you're walking out with
Correct.
certainty of the 2.5.
Yes.
And we make the motion dependent upon that partnership. This way it's done. And then
Which is a
you take
deferral.
forward. Right.
Which is a deferral. So I'll renew her motion to reduce the request to $2.5 million, defer to the meeting in
December.
Okay,
In
but wait a
December.
minute, 'cause I
Wait,
didn't-
I'm gonna say that's
we didn't-
different.
That's a different motion. Are we on my
We're still on, yeah,
We're waiting on
we're
a
still on a
second.
motion for 2.5 million.
Yeah, we need to go ahead and
Are you
either
seconding?
get a second or the motion fails for a lack of second.
Yeah. Okay, do I have a second?
I'm comfortable seconding it.
Thank you.
Second, whatever.
Second, yeah.
Okay, so we do have a motion and a second for a $2.5 million capital investment for the Bordeaux Collective.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, wait a minute.
You can move for it.
Now we can move for a deferral, correct?
Yeah, deferral. Technically speaking, a deferral takes precedent over, formally, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll move to defer this to the next meeting so that we can have these conversations and get something written out so that everybody's on the same page. Metro knows what they're getting into. You guys know what you're getting into as far as a lease or whatever kind of, control or whatever verbiage you want to say, where we have contractual access to the building.
Okay, so you need a legal document mentioning that?
Yes, so I want your
Actually,
board
need a
members to
second.
be okay with
Okay.
Metro having a $0 lease for however many years. Y'all figure that, that's all for y'all to figure out. But I want your boards to be on board and I want Metro to be on board, that we want to enter into that. I'm not comfortable just granting out $2.5 million to anybody that is not a Metro owned asset. So I want to at least have something that I can, because I know you've got historic success. That's one thing that makes me feel better about it, is that it's a proven model. It's not, is this going to work? We're going to build this beautiful building and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I know that it will be successful and I know that you'll touch a lot of lives, so I want to support it. I just want to make sure that I'm investing in an asset for a physical asset. I mean, you're obviously an asset, if that makes sense.
So I
Just
just
add
need
something really quickly.
Yeah, I think I need
I'm
a
okay
second
with
for
the
deferral.
deferral motion. I just want to say that we have in the past recommended improvements for nonprofits that are in Metro-owned buildings. We just did it at our last meeting for our place. So I just want to set the record and say it publicly. We have done that previously. So this is not a new request. This is not something new. It just seems like it's become an issue today for whatever reason, but we have historically, over our period in serving on this committee, made allocations or recommendations to support nonprofits, whether it's capital programming that Metro does not own. So I just want to make that sure the public knows.
Well, I'll clarify, because our
Nonprofit.
place was for their programming. It was not to build a building. So that was where it was a little bit different. And it was also, so there's a lot of differences between that. It's one thing, if I'm gonna invest in an asset or if I'm gonna create an asset, I want that asset to be on my Metro's balance sheet. If I'm going to invest in programming, that's a whole different deal, because you know what I mean? We've done that across the board, you're right, because we've got nonprofits that are providing this, they need FTEs, they need this, they need that. I want to support that because I'm supporting the work that they're doing, but I'm not interested in putting an asset on someone else's balance sheet. If I'm going to put an asset on somebody's balance sheet, it's going to be Metro's. So that's where I'm trying to figure out how I can, in my brain, understand that, yes, this $2.5 million is an asset to Metro on a balance sheet. Am I making my...
I just want to keep this in order. We have a motion for a deferral. I need a second for that, and then we would vote on the deferral before we would go back to the original motion.
I'm also comfortable with the deferral. I can second the
Okay,
deferral.
so I have a
I think
second.
this is headed in the right direction. There's just more conversation that needs to
Yeah,
happen.
so I have a second on
I
the
think
deferral.
there's enough support for the support, and so I think it's more conversation to fine tune some.
All in
some
favor of the
details.
deferral?
So,
Aye.
Can I get hands? Okay, I actually have 5 in favor, then 0 against for deferral. I will say this is not unlike a little bit what we did with participatory budgeting. where we kind of earmarked it. We haven't actually brought it to the council yet. It'll probably come back to this committee before it goes, so this is somewhat similar of saying, we're not gonna give away the rest of the funds. We're gonna come back to this.
Right.
So I think
Put a
that's
pin
where
in it.
Yeah, put a pin in
Exactly.
it.
Okay. Thank you all.
I do have a question. So I know your next meeting says on the agenda December 14th. I'm out of the country, so will I need to be present? That's my only
No,
hesitation
I
about this.
have we'll have another meeting beyond December 14th. So I think that gives us plenty of, that's really only 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll have time to, we'll have more meetings.
But I don't think you need to be present either. If you've met with your boards and Metro, and y'all have worked out whatever it is we need to work out, I think that's all that we'll need.
Gotcha.
Who do we need to get with to work out?
Probably general services, I would think, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Or Mary Jo.
I'll help coordinate it with
Yeah.
you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excited. We're so grateful.
And we had these already. I know you didn't, but if you want them binded,
Yes,
here they are.
please. Please leave them, yes.
Bring them over there or just leave them here. Here you go, babe.
I think I'm gonna go.
We took up a little more time, but it was worth it. Thank y'all.
To come in,
Just add us
she
to the
has to
ribbon
leave
cut.
by 5.
Absolutely.
Great.
Expect y'all there.
All this
If we don't
stuff.
give her, I think she'll be fast, and I'm afraid
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, Dr. Kroom.
John Button wants to sit.
Oh, you can come in, yeah.
No, he's not allowed.
He's sitting on the floor.
Who's sitting on the floor?
There's a few. There's Kristen Wilson, I can see her do that too. We used to have, where we have like the rotating people.
Well, because we're normally in the.
You need Kristen and John, do you want to come sit?
YWCA.
I'm going to go a little bit out of order and maybe
okay.
Dr. Kroom come in because I know she had to leave.
Okay, so Mac,
Yeah.
we're looking at Mac.
I just wanted to make sure because
Where do you want?
right here. Yes, for our committee, I'm just going out of order just a little bit because I knew that Dr. Kroom had to leave and we'd be right at that close end if we didn't get her in time, so. So on your agenda, it's listed as the MAC Affordable Childcare Centers. And so what you have is a list of kind of upkeep, repairs, maintenance that really kind of came into conversation when we first brought up childcare. So when back when you remember we talked about affordable childcare, MAC has its own programs in addition to the ones that we funded through Rafat Institute and United Way. And so we reached out to Dr. Kroom and said, how can we also support our own childcare programs? And so this is what she brought to us.
Thank you. Do you want me to just start?
Yeah.
Well, hello to everyone. It's good to see you all. We have a number of buildings that we have about 7 locations where we serve children. 3 of those locations, 2 of them are brand new builds that Metro, well, brand new meaning in the last 10 to 15 years, not in the last 3 to 4. But the other buildings that we're in are still buildings that were really handed to us from the school system. So imagine that we've been in existence for over 50 years, and so we have buildings that were given to us by the school system as long ago as 30 to 40 years, and we're still in some of those buildings. And so even though there's been work done at various times by the city on a number of those buildings, making them handicapped accessible, there's always constant maintenance that's having to be done on them. And so generally we make a 4% request through Metro, or we ask for dollars through capital. So this, for us, serves as an opportunity for us to get some of the things that are real issues for us when it comes to some of those older buildings. And so the ones that you see on here are largely buildings that we've been in for a very long time. That's the Richland location. The Berry location is another one of those older buildings. We've been in Berry probably about 20 years. Richland probably closer, as I said, to 30 or 40 years that we've been in Richland. And so these are things that would allow us to do some improvements in the building. We do have a master plan, just so you'll know, for the city that looks at when the replacement of these buildings and what we need to do. And so I don't want you to think that the city and the council is ignoring that. But in the interim, these are buildings that really have to have work done on them. So what you see before you is a list of some of those items. I should also mention that things are important when it comes to our licensing, when it comes to our federal review, that we have different things taken care of in the buildings. I don't know if you want me to walk down the entire sheet or if you had questions about specific ones that I could answer for you. Whatever is easier or better for you is fine with me.
I've
Start with questions.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for pulling together this spreadsheet. Makes it very easy to follow. I only have one question. Are any of these items, and you may have mentioned it and I missed it, been submitted for capital spending or improvements?
Some of them have been submitted as a part of our 4% request to Metro.
So they're on the list now?
They would have been on that list asking for some of the repairs to be done.
Which ones in particular?
How about 100%?
Okay.
Most of these have been on our 4% list.
Right, because these are important things that we need to have
I'm gonna let
done
you, if you'd like to talk about it, Councilwoman
in the buildings. So all of them.
Okay.
Our challenge is our 4% is way oversubscribed. We usually get somewhere around $150 to $160 million worth of requests, and we only have authorized usually somewhere around 40 to 50 million. And so these have been lingering for a while, and they, as we kind of go through life, health, safety stuff, believe it or not, these haven't quite gotten to the top because some of them certainly sound like it. So,
Not to say, in general,
Let's
4%
skip the line.
funds in Metro lingo are kind of what I'll call capital light. So they don't fit into a capital spending plan. It's an annual spend that we provide, but we can't always, as Kristen was saying, provide the full amount that gets requested. So when we say 4% funds, from my accounting, it's kind of capital light. So it doesn't go through the capital spending plan, but it's an annual budget item that often we have more requests than we can meet in that annual budget, and that's why we were saying.
when we saw that there was a priority for childcare here, we thought this was an opportunity essentially for Dr. Krim to skip the line.
Well, thank you for that. I should also mention that these are not things that our Head Start funds would cover, because as you all know, Head Start doesn't cover Head Start. Because you all, through council and the mayor, provide a 20% match to those funds that just takes care of the daily operation and the team members that are part of the Head Start program. And so when it comes to maintenance issues of this size, that's not something that we would be able to take from the Head Start budget. We also, just so you'll, to be fully transparent, pay attention to how much federal money goes into our buildings, because when federal share is in our buildings, it then impedes what Metro can do with its buildings because of the percent of federal share. So we also try and pay a lot of attention to that as well, I should mention. So, any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
How many buildings, I mean, I'm trying to count as you're referencing them, how many buildings would this $2.09 million go to?
So if you look at the ones that are listed, which are the older buildings, that's about 5 buildings is what's involved in this. So that's the Richland location, which is off of Charlotte, Berry, which is just off of 440 and Nolensville Road, North, which is in Germantown, the Tom Joy Head Start, which is is off of Lishi Avenue, if you know where that is, and then the Dudley property is at Dudley Park. So those are the buildings that this would impact, and those are the specific locations. None of these are new builds. The new builds would be Susan Gray and actually Douglas facilities. Those are the new builds that we have.
Some of this stuff I'm looking at, like I was just pointing out to her, is that we don't have sprinkler systems, and that, like, that's scary. It's not, and it hasn't risen to the level of we need to do this right now. It makes me want to look at, or maybe not want to look at the list of needs that we have. But anyway, thank you for bringing this to our attention. And if there's no other questions, I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, a second. Any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I have 5 in favor, 0 against. for $2,090,000.
Where is the Richland one? Help me place it.
So if you think about Charlotte, and I have to apologize for White Bridge Road.
Just west of
And just west of White Bridge Road. It's on the right if you're going west.
Right there.
I was getting ready to start naming food places, and I was trying not to do it.
I drive by it a lot.
Okay.
I drive by the
By the
cookout,
fall,
too.
there's a fall.
It's across from the new Las Palmas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a playground? There's a playground right.
Well, the playground is hidden. There's a field where the playground used to be, but to protect our children, our playgrounds tend to be fenced, and this one is literally on the side and back of the building, so you shouldn't see it from the street.
Okay. Anyway, all right. Thank you.
Think Las Palmas, and then just look across the street. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll get back to YW then. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Wade. We've never had to have a greeter and a nice transport.
And Jay, do you want that?
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Whoever, I'll do it. YW now?
We're going pretty fast.
I need that one to go fast, I wasn't sure.
Have to. I have a meeting at 5:30.
We can swap. There's one chair and then we'll shift yours. Hi there.
Oh, man.
That chair. You take the one next to
That's your
it.
spot.
And then just move the other one over. Yeah.
Or we could put them in the middle.
It's right, one chair right in the middle. Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Okay.
You'll introduce your team for us.
All right. My name is Sharon Roberson, President and CEO of the YWCA.
I'm Rusty Burge, I'm a board member.
I'm Orrin Crouch. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the YWCA.
Ryan Fleischman, I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at YW.
Can we get started?
Please do.
Okay. Now, each of you should have received a sheet, and it actually has all of our requests. So I won't go into detail on the request, but what I want you to do is get the feel for what the YWCA does. This is for the YWCA's Weaver Domestic Violence Center, and we are the primary provider of domestic violence services in Nashville and Middle Tennessee with the Weaver Domestic Violence Center. We've been in this business a long time. We've been part of the community for 122 years, 40 of those years formally in domestic violence services, 22 years at the Weaver Center. I think that when you talk about the Weaver Center, you can talk about all the services and safety we provide. You can talk about the wraparound services. But what we wanted to do is spend a lot of our time not only talking about what we need, but also talking about what I think is the heart of the Weaver Center, which is hope. Because we see ourselves in the business of providing hope for women and children that are leaving domestic violence. Because as we always say at the Weaver Center, we want Nashville to be the safest city that it can be. And we cannot tolerate a city that does not provide a safe haven for those who are fleeing domestic violence. Unfortunately, it is part of our community, but we have stood as the Weaver Center to support that. We are asking, as you've seen, for infrastructure help. Our building, we always say we have state-of-the-art services, but we do not have a state-of-the-art building. We need to have flooring replaced. We need to have a valid roof so we don't have to pay so much to keep the roof going. And we are asking you for $2 million toward those services. One thing I will tell this group that we are so excited about is that because of our good works, and I will take ownership of that, the Frisk Foundation has granted us $1 million toward this efforts. And so therefore, if we receive this $2 million, coupled with what we receive from the Frisk and some other private donors, we will reach a goal to be able to really transform and have a center that Nashville can be proud of. The reason why Rusty is here today is because I can talk about my experiences. I can talk about going through COVID at the Weaver Center. I can talk about how the children there, if you ever have the opportunity to visit the Weaver Center, will transform your life and let you understand how significant the work is. But Rusty is not only a board member, she's also a survivor and also a former guest at the Weaver Center. So I want her to tell you the kind of work that we do, because we want every story to be this survivor story.
So thank you guys. I'm glad to be here. And as she said, today I am a business owner and a happily married woman and a mother of grown, happy children. However, my introduction to the Weaver Center and the YWCA did not start out that way over a decade ago. My ex-husband, who, after moving from Florida to Tennessee, and seemingly great, but things started to get a little more controlling, a little more intimidating. It ended with him putting me across a kitchen table in front of my children, trying to choke me to death. Literally taking the life from me in front of my children. And so my son went for the phone to call 911. And that's what stopped him. He got off and we ran to a room, locked ourselves in, and he left so we couldn't be arrested at that moment. And they took me to get an order of protection and take photos and statements and all of those things. But his parents immediately bailed him out. And so the order of protection that I had wasn't even delivered to him yet. So it technically wasn't active. So I technically wasn't safe yet. And he finally said, oh, give me the paperwork, and they gave it to him, but it didn't stop him from trying to kill me. A year after that, within a year, he stalked me. He had other people follow me, harassed me, bought cheap phones, and would call me over 100 times a day. I got fired from my job because of it. He slashed my tires, broke into my house, just everything. And I lost my job. The police told me that because he had harassed me for a year, that I was highly more likely that he was going to kill me. And he did get it. He got a gun. They told me to move. I did. I moved to Nashville. I got a new job. And I was staying with friends, praying things would be better. But within a week, he found out where I was. And he called all of his family. He said, I'm going to go kill her. They finally took him seriously and forewarned me. I called the police, and they said, well, sorry, we can't do anything until he gets there. But I knew that piece of paper wasn't going to stop him from shooting me. So by God's grace, he got one street away from my house and ran a red light and got hit by a truck and broke his neck. That's the only thing that saved my life and my kid's life in that moment. But it didn't end there. He let me know that as soon as he was starting to heal, he was going to come back after me because it was his fault that I broke my neck, that he broke his neck. And so my friend said I had to go, because they couldn't deal with that. So now I'm facing homelessness, fear of the trauma of what if and when. And my new employer learned of my situation, and he's who got me in touch with the Weaver Center. They had me gather a few things and my children, and they took us in, and I'm going to try not to cry because it's emotional for me. But we had a lot of trauma, and my children had a year of looking over their shoulders and home hopping and what's coming next. But they literally were life-giving when they gave me a place to go where I knew he couldn't find me and he couldn't get in even if he did find me, and that they wouldn't let him in, that he couldn't manipulate them to think that he was okay to be near us like he had done other people. And they welcomed us in late at night with hugs and teddy bears and blankets for my kids just for some sort of comfort. And we got a room with bunk beds for where the next month would be our home. It was my children and I's safe haven. We changed schools, we got counseling, legal help to help the court proceedings and things that I was going through. They helped us get food stamps and other programs so that I could just keep my job and keep my car and keep living. But that was the one place he couldn't get me. The one place I knew that my kids weren't going to be orphaned while I was there. And I won't say it was ideal. You know, anytime you have to sleep with 3 kids that are 5, 7, and 10 in the same room and try and figure out how to dress with a 10-year-old boy standing in front of you while you try and get ready for work, or they couldn't be stopped at the bus stop by themselves. You always have to be in supervision. Or you're saying, is the washing machine free so that 30 other people that are trying to use it can use it? Those kind of things are challenging. And some days it's enough to make you consider going home. But the support and the amazing staff that are there through those days help you through it. And that's why I stand here today as a success story. Because 1 in 4 women, they say, have some form of domestic violence in their lives. And I would challenge to say it's even more than that, because that's just what's reported. But the Weaver Center needs your support, not just because they are facing infrastructure. They're facing things like I went through. They're facing all the women and children that don't have the story that I have. And so I'm asking you to help there be more faces like me so that I can, they have hope. They gave me hope. They gave me the place that I could rebuild and reestablish and today own a business and have my family and everything is okay. And he is far, far away from us and knows that based on the support that I had, that he can't hurt me today. And so I exist today because the Weaver Center exists. My daughter exists today because the Weaver Center exists. And so we couldn't. And we wouldn't be able to be served if they weren't here. So I'm asking your support so we can hear more stories like mine and not the ones on TV of the mothers and children that didn't make it because somebody who was supposed to love and protect them hurted them. So.
Thank you. And this is the heart. This is the work that we do. And I know there's some detail here, but I want to give you the opportunity to ask questions. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story. Would this money expand your ability, like you serve a certain number of people right now, would this expand that number or just make it easier and better?
It will make it better for the services that we provide. There are services that are limited now because of the limitations of our building, so it will expand services somewhat, but it will really enhance the service that we have and make the infrastructure better.
Okay. If I can add to that, if you don't mind.
No.
As luxurious as you described it 10 years ago, just 2 years ago, you increased the beds by 50%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Didn't expand, but the need was there because this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess we can say on TV, the city was failing.
Yeah.
So you went from 54 beds to
65.
65.
And when I was
So
there.
what you described it as great as it sounded, it's not as good today, but it's serving more people.
Serving more people, right.
Important.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I got to walk through the Weaver Center recently, I saw that, they've downsized the kids' interior playroom to put in more rooms. Mm-hmm. And so trying to put every age group in that small area that they have, just so they can have more rooms, they can use technology. They can use a lot of things that'll help them make the best of the space that they have.
Does the Weaver Center have an MOU with the Office of Family Safety or MNPD? Yes, and social services? All three, maybe?
Well, we have an agreement with the Office of Family Safety, because we have arrangement with them because we work through the LAP protocol with Metro National Police Department, and that's so the high lethality cases flow through the crisis line because we have a 24-hour, it's a 24/7 operation, but we also have a text and call line where individuals can call in. The police can facilitate those calls, and those are high-risk calls and get high priority to come in because most of the shelters would not have the infrastructure. We had a visitor from the state, and they had been all over the state. We have a fence. We have more security. We need more security, but we have more than most. So we are that high-risk, high-lethal situation. Those are the people that come into the Weaver Center.
Right, okay. I've had this argument about investing into an asset that we don't own. This to me is a little bit different.
Yes.
Just because, number one, when you've got MOUs with multiple departments, it's a public safety issue.
Yes.
It's a life or death issue. It's also, in a lot of ways, not addressing homelessness, but it prevents that type of a situation. And certainly, usually, there's kids involved, and that bothers me. So the whole renovation is gonna cost 3, is that what you're saying? And you've already got the 1, so this is the 2.
It actually is more than that. It's actually 4.2, but we believe that with leveraging this 2 million, the million we have, and we have about another close to 200,000 has been donated, that we can leverage other resources to get those other pieces of the puzzle. But this will go a huge step toward that we can actually start major aspects of our plan with this extra money.
So this $2 million represents less than half of what the actual renovation cost is? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. How many other shelters of this kind are there in Davidson County?
None. Not of this kind, none.
Only one in Davidson County and largest in the state. And it is nationally recognized. I saw Ms. Sharon Robeson on the doctors last month talking about the Weaver Center.
We have been very fortunate because, first of all, we work very hard, but it is a unique situation because we have this, and we also have the support of the city giving us the land and having the foresight and saying we needed this safe haven because, literally we've saved, thousands of lives by having this. If we did not have this in Nashville, especially through the difficult times, during COVID, if the Weaver Center had not remained open, which we did, it would have been catastrophic for the city. And we would hate for the city to look back and say, oh, we wish we had known, we would have invested in that, because it is investing in the public health of the city.
And you guys increased capacity at the beginning of COVID?
I've never done this before. I make a motion. It's the only one I've ever done. It's the only one I'll ever do. And I'm not on the board anymore, so I can vote now.
Kristen, do you want to add something?
I just wanted to add really quickly that we full-throated support this request from not just the mayor's office, but also the Office of Family Safety. So Diane Lance couldn't be here today, but she asked us to make sure that this is understood, that this is a public-private partnership, and a really strong one and a strong partner.
I want to thank you for sharing that, for being vulnerable. Thank you. I'll second it.
Great. We have a first, a second. Any other questions? All in favor? Anybody opposed? I have 5 in favor, 0 against. And can I get a sponsor?
I'll sponsor. I was just at Matthias' house earlier. All right. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. All right. We have one last item.
I got it.
How do you want to sit, everyone?
I don't know if they want to take turns.
Sit in the middle.
It's all inspiring.
It seems small, but
it's huge. It's incredible.
So was your Thanksgiving okay?
Do you know which one is Sam?
Yes.
It was. Ask Sam how he wants to. It looks like there might be enough chairs further. We've got about 6.
Yeah, I understand.
You know, the one that told the story. She's on the board and stuff. She was a successful person. We started talking the whole room started crying. My daughters were there, which was nice. My oldest son was there, yeah.
Why is he beyond
Might be good to vote.
well, this is the only dimension, so they're elderly homes.
Yeah, over here. We are here. I'm gonna give space for a moment to see if they can fill in, and if there's still space after that, then I'll be back.
So I guess I'm thinking.
Hello. Welcome. Come on
So I've
in.
been there. I just.
Get everybody in.
Now it's a party.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Do you mind?
This is so clean. I can do it.
How are you?
Oh, wow.
We have our first work session. We have our first work session at 5 o'clock.
Yes, I am. Sorry. No, you're good.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, it's a lot of people.
The last item for request on the agenda is for Burris Hall in partnership with Fisk. And if you all are ready, I will turn it to LaTanya. Are you gonna, I think she's gonna start us off. Go ahead, you're fine.
Well, they're all here for the same thing.
Yeah, once you're ready.
Okay.
So, are you gonna kick us off with that?
Yes, I'll
Okay,
kick
I'm gonna
us
have you
off.
kick us off and introduce anybody that you need to introduce, and we've got.
So, hello everyone. I see some familiar faces and some of you probably don't know who the heck I am. But I'm glad to be here, and just to offer a quick reminder of why we are here. I am new to Metro, that some of you may realize it's been less than 60 days. But I'm here representing the mayor's office for this request for Burris Hall on the campus of Fisk University. Just to let you know, we had a lot of people who wanted to come and support and wanted to come and speak. We narrowed it down just so this wouldn't last until midnight. But we are here to do that for you. We want to make sure just a couple of things off the top. I know that there's some concern about the remaining funds that are left. From my understanding on these federal dollars, we have quite a bit of flexibility with the ARPA funds. So we're looking to hope that this committee will take that into consideration, and I'll speak a little bit more to that in my remarks. For those of you who don't know, I've been a federal bureaucrat my entire career, most of it for about 20 years working with the U.S. Small Business Administration, in the last 8 years with the state of Tennessee. My name is LaTanya Channel, if I didn't say that, over the state of Tennessee. So I'm happy to be here with Metro and happy to be here with peers and colleagues and partners before you today. So I typically don't like to read my comments. I typically like to go off the cuff. But I was warned that if I spoke off the cuff, I might not get all my points in, and I might have you here till midnight. So I'm going to read a little bit of my statement, and I'll go off the cuff a little bit more. So as I mentioned, for those who don't know, I was at SBA for about 20 years before I came to Metro, less than 60 days ago as the new Economic Development Chief. 8 years in leadership over the Small Business Administration's Tennessee District Office. A lot of people think the SBA is a nonprofit association member-based organization. It is not. It is a federal government agency, hence the U.S. Small Business Administration. So when the mayor called me many months ago while I was still at SBA asking for help, first for residents and businesses after the tornado hit in March of 2020, then COVID, of course, hit, and many have heard of PPP, right? But believe it or not, there were quite a few other federal programs that were launched to assist and support small businesses during the pandemic. There were grants for restaurants, there were economic injury loans and grants for small businesses, and shuttered venue grants that also went to small venues. The mayor also asked me whether the mayor's office should support the creation of a business incubation and innovation center here in Metro and on Fisk campus, and I said absolutely yes, because it just makes sense for Nashville. I have been traveling the state, of course, in my role with SBA from Memphis to Johnson City, and I had always said that the needs here in Nashville are the greatest for several reasons. One, as we know, we still have a continued attraction of large corporations to what's called the IT city. But most importantly, we need to connect our existing businesses that are here to those large corporations for opportunity, mentorship, and most importantly, for contracts as suppliers to these large corporations. 3, the need to support innovation by those who now have no desire to go to college at all or no desire to go to college yet, but would rather start a business now today. And 4, the need to connect students with innovation, entrepreneurs, small businesses, and those same large corporations that I mentioned to create a pathway for themselves. And for me, the time is now, and I hope that you all see that need right now as well. So then when I was talking to the mayor, I took a little time and I said, oh, by the way, Mayor, did you know what I did before I came to Tennessee? And I still kind of try to do. When I was working in the nation's minority contracting program that was first advanced after President Johnson took office, after King was assassinated. It was also advanced by President Nixon. If you saw the movie, I can't remember the name of the movie. I'll remember it in a second. Well, one of the agendas that President Nixon wanted to advance was black capitalism. And how did he do it? Through the nation's minority contracting program. Also, Bill Clinton, when he became president, advanced this program when it was under threat by the Supreme Court. If any of you have heard of the Adirondack case, any lawyers that may be in the room. And I worked in DC my entire career under mentors and leaders who worked in that program and worked for every single one of those presidents that I mentioned, and they put that into me to help advance black wealth in this country through the federal minority contracting program. But to me, there weren't enough businesses taking advantage of that program here in Nashville that Darrell Freeman himself took advantage of with Zycron, was in that federal contracting program. And the mayor responded to me, he said, yep, I know what you did. And he said, oh, by the way, I need you to focus on Nashville and not the rest of the state. So that's why I'm sitting here with you today. So again, for 8 years, I watched as other cities and city mayors and county mayors and city councils and county commissions rallied around the nonprofit community, small business providers, in partnership with for-profit entities and the banking community. And I worked very closely with the state ECD offices in Launch, Tennessee, again, Memphis, Knoxville, Chattanooga, and all the rural areas in between to support the needs of small business owners and minority businesses. Still, my passion remains black entrepreneurship because of my career at SBA in Washington, D.C. So it was frustrating to not see that we have not done better here in Nashville. So fast forward, as I mentioned, as of October 1 of this year, only 8 weeks. It's only been 8 weeks. And now I sit here before you as a member of the mayor's office, where Mayor Cooper has made it absolutely clear to me and the rest of the team that he wants my focus to be on small business, hence the title change, if you had heard that the title had changed. But first, we have to get back to some basics. Building and creating spaces and places where businesses can get the support that they need, where residents, including students, can receive proactive, value-added support that may be otherwise unaffordable, inaccessible, or unknown. And just some facts. It must have been about 2010 or so where I was sitting at the front row at a Senate Small Business Committee hearing in Washington, D.C., and they were talking about the wealth gap between Black Americans and white Americans, and it was tremendous. And the purpose of that particular hearing was making sure that we still kept the nation's first and most paramount and premier minority contracting program alive. That, again, was facing some scrutiny in the court level. As I look at the data, still today, this is data that was published before the pandemic. When we talk about the median net worth of white families in this country, that stands at $188,000, and the same median net worth for the median net worth for Black American families stands at about $24,000. That was pre-pandemic in 2019 and hasn't changed much since 2010 when I was at that Senate hearing, trying to work with my bosses and my managers at the federal SBA to make sure we keep that program alive, that federal contracting program which was created for advancement of black wealth. I also want to note that black-owned businesses are still more likely to be sole proprietorships. There's nothing wrong with being a sole proprietorship, but most businesses want to advance beyond that. And what's important to me at the mayor's office, and I know what's important to you, I know what's important to other residents in this city and everybody, when you go beyond a sole proprietorship and you grow, what does that do? Jobs, right? Create jobs. In 2019, only 4.1% of black-owned businesses were beyond, so, in 2019, 4.1% of black-owned businesses were sole proprietorship. And this was pre-pandemic. And we know the economic impact that the pandemic has had on all small businesses, but particularly black and brown businesses as well. I know that this committee has been responsible for all the pandemic relief programs that Congress has authorized, starting with the CARES Act, and I thank you for your efforts with that $380 million that you have the responsibility for to do good here in Metro Nashville. One thing I want to note, and this was one of the things that we discussed a lot prior to me coming to Metro, we discussed at the SBA. As we know, with the PPP loans and the grants that the SBA put out, at the end of the day, that money is gone. Those businesses needed to survive. They used that money for supplies, which we know gone through the roof and still. They used that money to keep staff on payroll, and they're continuing to use whatever monies they may have from that federal government support to keep employees. Employees are quitting at record rates, to keep hiring employees, which you know is when someone quits and you got to bring them on, that's more expensive. So the same thing is happening in Nashville, as we know. Those grants and funds are gone. Every single COVID relief package that the federal government passed, whether it was CARES Act all the way to American Rescue Plan dollars, which we're talking about today, addressed that devastation of small businesses, but we have some encouraging news. The pandemic led to a huge surge in start-up businesses. So I have been busy. Everyone wants to start a business. Risk comes with every single business venture we know, but when we talk about innovation, often the drive to create something entirely new overwhelms any fear of starting a business itself. So here in Nashville, again, it's important to me because I made it my home that we have the resources to support both, and we have a space to support both the innovation and also new business ventures and expanding business here in Nashville. I also want to add that this is a moment with this investment to create history via a public-private partnership that is done all the time, all around this country. And I want to give the most recent example that happened in Memphis. As many of you may know, Burris Hall is a McKissick and McKissick design building, one of the very first black-owned companies in this country, an architectural company designed by McKissick and McKissick. Well, also in Memphis, there's a Universal Life building off Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard that is also McKissick and McKissick design building. A private architectural company, black-owned architectural firm, bought that building in 2006. And it took a while, but they ultimately were able to, in 2018, renovate that project at a cost of $6.5 million, but using city coffers. They didn't have the benefit that we have right now to access those federal dollars to renovate an historic business. And guess what? The purpose of that building, at least I think the vast majority of that space, is now used for small business providers within the city of Memphis. Those small business providers, Memphis also had another building around the corner for the last 20 years where they had them all in that space. They moved them around the corner to this particular building. So we have an opportunity as well. Again, that $6.5 million that private business used came from local city coffers. But still, with community support, business owner support, and elected official support, completely supporting that. Of course, that $6.5 million would be way more today with inflation and all the costs in supplies since the pandemic. I also want to say what an honor and privilege that we would have here in Metro Nashville on the campus of an HBCU to have a McKissick and McKissick building renovated for the use of small businesses. Very different than what they've done in Memphis, which is admirable, but we'll have a greater story to tell here in Metro Nashville. When Metro shows its full commitment from the mayor's office, this committee, the full council, partner organizations in the small business ecosystem, banking community, which FISC already has that support, not just from those that you're going to hear from today, because I'm starting out and I'm probably taking up too much time and I hope I haven't lost you. But we do have some supporters here today to support this that are ready and willing and able to support it once that construction is done, and also ready to support it as the construction starts. FISC already has the land. FISC already has the building. FISC already is making efforts for the endowment to support ongoing support that they don't have to come to Metro for, which is amazing and very different than what was done in Memphis, and has the willingness to invite others and providers to use that space. As I mentioned before, the ARPA dollars, I know there was some concern at the prior meeting about whether or not this was an eligible use of funds. It absolutely, completely is. This is probably one of the first times in the history of this country where the federal government has landed dollars, and this huge amount of dollars, with local municipalities to spend it freely and to be as innovative as we're asking our business owners to be. It's an absolute allowable use of the funds. So there's no limit or prohibition on using it for a capital project, and frankly will leave a legacy for many years to come, not just for the small businesses, but also our community as a whole. And honestly, it's a drop in the bucket of that total $380 million that Congress landed here in Metro Nashville. That we all can use to tout and share with our children and grandchildren as a space and place for solo practitioners, family enterprises, student-generated ideas, maker businesses, and startups to thrive. So if we say that Metro has done enough with the federal funds we've already received to support small businesses, I say that we haven't. every single president since 1953, Democrats and Republicans, has probably uttered in their campaign speeches and ongoing that what? Small businesses are the engine of the economy, right? So what is Nashville going to do to show its support for long-term sustainability of our business? So today you're going to hear from many businesses, and you're going to hear some from businesses, you're going to hear some from partners, bankers, for-profits, nonprofits, and you should already have, if not, at least 50 letters of support for this project to create that space in place, that common space for entrepreneurs to increase their chances of success through this business incubator that, of course, at the end of the day is going to give us a public return on job creation. It's going to give us a public return with increased capability and capacity for our businesses, increased capability and capacity for our Black-owned businesses in Nashville, and they'll be ready to get those contracts from these large corporations that are coming and that are here because we're going to prepare them for those. Having 2 centers to serve entrepreneurs is not enough in Nashville. I know there was concern about the 2 centers that had already been funded by this committee. And even Pathway itself, which we all know here in Nashville, has 2 office locations in Memphis itself. And a 3rd location that they use, that building that I mentioned, the Universal Life locations for training and activities as well to meet the needs of business owners in Memphis. So we can do better here in Metro Nashville at Burris Hall, which adds an additional component that Memphis doesn't have. We can add the additional components here of an academic institution with students who are primed and ready to be innovative and active, a part of this ecosystem with local corporate support, local banking support. And we can show the rest of the state that Nashville really does support legacy building, generational wealth, Black wealth creation that Congress supports. And I wrote that, and I hope I didn't take too long. But again, I rather speak off the cuff. Recently, I was able to present an award to 2 individuals who are solely responsible for creating Black wealth in this nation. And that award was in the name of Perrin J. Mitchell. Perrin J. Mitchell was the first Black congressman from the state of Maryland. Perrin J. Mitchell was one of the founding members of the Congressional Black Caucus. Perrin J. Mitchell is the congressman that those presidents, Democrats and Republicans alike, said, hey, what can we do to help create Black wealth in this country and maintain it? He did that through that federal contracting program that I personally have been over the last 8 years trying to grow more and more in Tennessee, and will continue to grow more and more here in Nashville, just as Gerald did with Zycron. And one of the most famous quotes by Perrin Mitchell, when he was congressman, and he is no longer with us, is that he was famously known for saying that the second wave of the civil rights movement is economic development. So I'm proud to be your new economic development chief, and I hope you support these funds for this project. Next, we have DeCosta Jenkins, who is going to share with us today. Thank you.
So let me thank the committee for this opportunity to speak to you today on behalf of the Incubation and Innovation Center. I'm DeCosta Jenkins, and I'm the former president and CEO of Nashville Electric Service. I grew up in zip code 37208, and according to the Brookings Institute, the most incarcerated zip code in our nation. And the George Floyd incident impacted a lot of people, but it impacted me a little differently in that it made me focus on that there is generational poverty in the Black community. And I want to do what I can and encourage others to think about what we can do to break that cycle. And so the reason why I'm here today is I think that the Incubation and Innovation Center is an opportunity for Nashville to put together to have a tool that can help deal with that problem. So how does that impact that problem? So 2 ways. One, it provides a facility where young entrepreneurs can find support, they can collaborate, they can find partnerships and become successful. And by having it at FIS in that environment, it becomes very visible. Maslow, in his theory of motivation, says you can't just want it, you have to believe you can achieve it. And by having it at FIS in that community gives those kids an opportunity to see that there's a pathway out of that cycle that doesn't involve drugs or gangs. Thank you.
So we also have another partner here, Corner to Corner, which when I was at SBA, I was so happy to meet and learn about their work on the ground. entrepreneurship, so.
There's no one in Nashville who doesn't want us to become a better city where neighbors flourish. One of the keys to this grand vision is effective partnership that brings the best of academic, civic, and community voices together in true collaboration. I am Marcia Smith, the Entrepreneurship Director of Corner to Corner, and I am standing for our Executive Director, Shana Berkeley, who is currently in New York City, sitting on a panel for Goldman Sachs leaders and participants who are discussing how Nashville, through Corner to Corner, is becoming a leader in Black entrepreneurship. Corner to Corner is community-led and community-located. All of our classes are held in local rec centers or Black historic churches. In other words, spaces that the community owns and where people feel safe and seen. These types of community spaces are necessary and critical for entrepreneurial growth. But why Fisk? Because they have the location, the infrastructure, the entrepreneurial mindset, the community connections, and they hold a similar community mission. This building is at Fisk, but it's not for Fisk. It is for us, the communal us. You, me, and anyone wanting to turn their business dreams into a money-making reality. And Corner to Corner has helped 819 underestimated entrepreneurs, 84% of whom are Black women, start businesses, and we have 3,000 entrepreneurs on a waiting list. This is 3,000 Nashvillians who are waiting and standing in line saying, I'm next. Similar business creation is historically underestimated communities in a way that we ensure that all Nashvillians can thrive financially in this rapidly changing city that we all love. A recent Goldman Sachs study shows that 0.5% of Black women own businesses compared to 13% of white men. There is not a talent gap. This is an opportunity gap. In Nashville, if 13% of the Black population owned businesses, we would see an estimated $250 million annual economic bump. And this would be a game changer for thousands of families. Corner to Corner is in support and partnership with Fisk, the mayor's office, and countless others for this project to be funded by the community.
So we also have the Entrepreneur Center here, as affectionately known in Nashville as the EC.
Good evening. Good to see everyone. Brittany Cole, Chief Equity and Inclusion Officer at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center, a native of Nashville and the founder of a leadership development firm that does DE&I work here in town. So I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to speak with you all today on behalf of the Nashville Entrepreneur Center. The future of our city here in Nashville depends on our ability to successfully grow entrepreneurs regardless of their race, their age, their location, or their zip code. The Nashville Entrepreneur Center believes in leveling the playing field by creating on-ramps to opportunities for all Nashvillians so that Nashville becomes the place that is clearly number one when it comes to the best places to start, grow, and scale a business. For the past 3 years, we've made some really intentional investments in programs like our Twin Day program in people and personnel to support the work of diversity, equity, and inclusion to level the playing field for all entrepreneurs, and specifically contributing to DEI across the city of Nashville to close that racial wealth gap that LaTanya just shared about. So we are definitely invested in continuing to create these on-ramps. Our vision at the EC, as I mentioned, is to make Nashville the best place to start, to grow, and to scale a business. One of the ways we do that is by connecting entrepreneurs to resources and the tools that they need to grow. And at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center, on behalf of our CEO, Jane Allen, and our entire leadership team, we believe that the Fisk Innovation and Incubation Center is one of those critical resources that Nashville needs. As a steward of Nashville's entrepreneurial legacy, the EC is very, very proud to be a partner with Fisk and to provide dynamic advisory and mentorship as we look at ways that we can leverage our resources to support these efforts for students and for entrepreneurs in the North Nashville community. Entrepreneurship is the bridge to economic inclusion, as we just heard in Nashville, and we look forward to continuing to support the planning, the launch, and seeing the successful growth of this incubation center. The EC has been a partner in this vision from day one. through the leadership and legacy of the late Daryl Freeman. We believe in that vision, and we look forward to continuing to partner to make entrepreneurship accessible to everyone. Thank you.
We also have another partner in offering corporate support, AllianceBernstein.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Friend to many people in this room. My name is Bryn Plummer. I've lived in Nashville since 2011, currently live in District 8. And I also have the privilege to serve as the Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at AllianceBernstein. So I have a vested stake in this as a Nashvilleian, but we as AllianceBernstein have a vested stake in seeing this come to fruition because we want to see Nashville continue to grow as a thriving, inclusive, and connected entrepreneurial ecosystem can support. Entrepreneurship is a community sport. That phrase was coined by the Kauffman Foundation, who's been studying entrepreneurial ecosystem development for over 30 years. It's what brings me here to this room today and why I'm grateful to be a part of stewarding this mission. Everyone in the community has a role to play in supporting the success of entrepreneurs. Some of us will be customers, some of us will be capital investors, some of us will be the brave people who step away from a 9-to-5 to take on the role of being entrepreneurs. And successful entrepreneurial ecosystems become talent magnets and talent incubators. New businesses generate most net new jobs, they spur innovation, make cities vibrant, making them places where people want to live. Like most businesses, we fully believe that our people are our competitive edge, and our new hometown being able to cultivate and attract talented people is a critical element to our success. Like our peers, J.P. Morgan Chase, McKinsey, Citi, and Ernst & Young, who have invested hundreds of millions in supporting Black entrepreneurship, we see Black business and Black-owned business development as the future of our economic ecosystem in the United States. Further, entrepreneurial education is booming in academic institutions across the country. In fact, it is already offered at a number of universities in the area, including over at Belmont. And while we partner with many of these entities already, we have a particular interest in seeing this education take shape at Fisk. We have a number of alumni in our workforce. We have several current Fisk students enrolled in our HBCU Scholars Program, a 9-week paid internship program for rising juniors at more than 100 HBCUs across the country. And one of our first accepted scholars to the 2023 cohort is a Fisk sophomore, Katia Cummins. But we don't merely see this as a boon to Fisk, to echo your statements, Brittany, or even a boon to North Nashville. But we see this as a boon to Nashville writ large. AllianceBernstein made Nashville our official headquarters in 2018. Nashville is our home. And since then, we've invested millions of dollars in philanthropy to city nonprofits. We've spent 18,000 volunteer hours in this community. Perhaps more importantly, we've added more than 1,100 jobs to the local economy. And while we envision the future of the financial sector in Middle Tennessee, we know that the kind of education that's part and parcel to entrepreneurship goes hand in hand with the kind of education that you would need to work in finance, business administration, financial planning, macroeconomics, statistics. The net gain of more Nashvilleians who understand these concepts can't be understated, and we would be short-sighted if we didn't see the potential impact on our potential future workforce, but also the potential to create a new generation of first-time players in the world of finance. Further, Black business owners have 12 times the net worth of Black wage earners. As an asset manager, we would be remiss to not think about not just the future employees walking through the Fisk Incubation Center doors, but also our future customers. But even if we saw no direct benefit from this endeavor, we would still be here at this table. This is what we signed up for when we made this city our home. Thank you so much, and I hope you will ask any questions that might come to light.
We also have some tech industry support from Blacks in Tech in the Nashville Tech Council. See you in the door in a second. You're up? Okay. Yeah, Clean and Holly's up, one of them.
Who sits where?
Where? You can sit over there.
Sit here.
Speakers sit here. At least that's what we've been doing. Yeah. We kind of created. I'm not sure if that's what you all wanted to. Okay.
All right, good afternoon. Blacks in Technology Nashville, along with our sister organizations, the Greater Nashville Technology Council and Women in Technology Tennessee, as well as the Nashville technology community, would like to express our excitement and support for the Daryl S. Freeman Senior Innovation and Incubation Center for the following reasons. First, technology is one of the nation's fastest growing industries and is a pathway for many individuals to build wealth and become job creators. The late Daryl Freeman Sr. is an excellent example of this. Unfortunately, tech does does lack minority representation both in business owners and technologists. Out of all of the technologists in the nation, only 3.7% are Black, and even smaller percentage are Latinx or Hispanic. Out of that small number, Black and brown tech business owners are an even smaller percentage, and then in Tennessee, that number is nominal. Secondly, in Tennessee, 97.3% of Black and brown-owned businesses do not have employees. Research has shown that when entrepreneurs participate in incubation programs, they grow 22% in revenue and 15% in employment within 6 months. These businesses are the ones that can contribute to the economic health of their communities. Third, the North Nashville business ecosystem, one that was predominantly Black and brown and thriving, has not recovered since the completion of I-40 in the mid-1960s. The reigniting of this ecosystem means fewer minority businesses closing and fewer Nashville residents in poverty or on the street. Finally, the innovation programs proposed by this initiative, certification programs, boot camps, licensure programs, will assist in building the pipeline of minority residents into high-growth, high-paying jobs.
What this means for Davidson County is that small business owners of all industry can access programs and resources they need to scale, not just to build personal generational wealth, but to become job creators for their community. During the height of the pandemic, Black-owned small businesses faced a closure rate nearly twice the national rate, 41%. This project is a chance for us to help those entrepreneurs learn how to rebuild while giving new entrepreneurs the start they deserve. The Nashville technology community is ready to do its part to support this initiative. We have gathered over 45 letters of support from Nashville tech businesses and nonprofit leaders such as Marcus Whitney, John Ingram, Brian Moyer, and Mignon Francois, and others to demonstrate our commitment. Thank you.
These are letters of
I sent
support.
them to everybody, but you
Okay,
you can pass them.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we also wanted to just remind everyone why we are here. So Patrick Johnson is going to talk to us about Daryl Freeman's legacy.
Yeah, am I
Wherever
supposed to
you want to be.
stand
You can sit and stand wherever you like.
It's hot. I can't imagine you guys have been sitting in here a long time listening to everybody ask for money. And there's a finite amount of money available. And everybody has a good cause. And as I was listening to the speakers that came before me, I'm not going to be able to give you any more detail than what they've given. All the facts are there, everything is there. You know, whatever I thought I was going to say is going to stay here. We know that Nashville aspires to be a phenomenal city and compete and win against Atlanta and Austin and all these things. I grew up here. I've seen the tremendous growth. And it's a phenomenal place if you're an entrepreneur. It's a phenomenal place if you are a professional seeking to have a phenomenal career inside of a healthcare ecosystem, because we're number one and we do that well. But there are other things in tech that's growing, and it's just a hot spot. It's not phenomenal if you look like me. It's not phenomenal if you look like you. That's just the reality. I can give all the quotes that everyone gave, but the reality has been, if you take time to read one of the greatest books written on the history of Nashville, Fortunes, Fiddle, and Fried Chicken, Jack Massey commissioned that book to be written. It's the beginning of Nashville's business all the way to his death. It's exclusive of people who look like me, minus R.H. Boyd. It's the only one that we talk about, right? But you can watch the evolution and growth of this city. It's a lot of money to ask for $10 million. But it's a cornerstone that from the last time we had this meeting, the energy and the work that went into rallying the community to understand what's going on, there's a buzz right now with the anticipation, as if this was Christmas Eve, of what can be in North Nashville, what can be in West Nashville, for people who have these wonderful dreams, this huge work ethic, but don't have access or equal access to resources that teach you how to be more than proficient, but excellent at what you do. We have pockets of centers that do that. We have built-in things that don't need to be centers, right? We have phenomenal venture capital network. We have mentorship network. We have phenomenal banking relationships for would-be entrepreneurs who look like everybody else in this room but me. This is an attempt to ask a whole bunch of people to say, let's make a concerted effort to give people that kind of access. The city's part that we're asking is an actual $10 million investment. But we're asking banks to support that, to create better systems for young entrepreneurs to access that. We're asking for committed mentorship. We know we've been already pitching corporations to commit to the center if it makes it to that life stage. We're asking for that. We're getting a yes from everyone that wants to participate. All I can do is actually plead that you play your role in this. You have to play it willfully. Like, I can't say you owe it to anybody. You don't. There are a million things that you can spend this money on. But this one creates generational wealth that will live beyond us. It creates opportunities for people who have been starved out of the opportunity. Like, it's not a handout. It's just providing resources that are there. Fisk University has to pay for the programming. They've come in as a partner to say, we'll do this for you. This is our commitment. You know, we have lots of other organizations that have said, we'll do our part because we believe in this. You know, as I plead and ask you to really support this, I'll ask you to listen to your better angels and not choose the easy way out, which is to say, I can find a reason not to do this, but that just becomes another unnecessary hurdle for people who are tired of having unnecessary hurdles to climb. You can hear the passion in my voice about this because it's so close. Like, I won't live the dream of this. I'm okay, my family will be okay, but there's someone who's 15, 16, 9 years old right now that will utilize that center 10 years from now, 5 years from now, and they will be the next Navi Health. They will be the next HCA. We keep forgetting that started in a house, right? They will have access to all the networks to teach them how to be phenomenal entrepreneurs. And you can be a big part of that in making a decision and get this out of committee. That's what I ask for. I know, you know, historically, that neighborhood has been overlooked. And I know it's no longer going to be overlooked, but that's just because it's a true extension of downtown now. Corridor has been built. City's growing like mad. We got a whole bunch of people who don't look like me that want to live over there now because it's affordable, relatively. And let's not make this another I-40. Let's make this Maryland Farms. Thank you.
So I mentioned I've been here, did I say 8 weeks? I was trying to count on the calendar today. But thank you so much for that, Patrick. And
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
No. Let me add something else.
No, you go right ahead.
We named this the Darrell S. Freeman Center for a reason. It will sound like it's wordplay to play on the tragic death of Darrell, but the reality is everybody in the community knows there are probably a dozen companies that exist in Nashville that solely had to depend on Darrell Freeman personally making it happen. Making his networks commit to things that they normally wouldn't do, spending countless hours mentoring people. I mean, literally, I can name a dozen companies that he would never tell anybody that he personally was their entrepreneur center for. That's why we chose it. but you can't depend on any individual. But the spirit of that can exist in places like the EC, in corner to corner. And there's long wait lines of that. We need that in North Nashville for the people who don't have access to that. That's why we named it the Darrell S. Freeman Center.
And you don't know that. I know some of those businesses because Darrell made sure they participated in that contracting program that I talked about earlier. Since I've been with Metro, I've probably picked up the phone once a day to talk to Jens, who I met 8 weeks ago, and said, Jens, tell me about the programming because I've seen a lot around the state and I want to know about this. So we have Jens from FISC.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Patrick, for that very spirited and thoughtful, remarks. I'm gonna stick to the script. That way I know I get across it. So before addressing the programmatic focus that will define the Darrell S. Freeman Incubation and Innovation Center, it's important to stress 2 other dimensions of the public-private partnership that LaTanya referenced earlier. First, the building is only one part of the overall cost of the center. The ongoing operational costs, another altogether. In the spirit of a true public-private partnership, Fisk University will absorb the operational expenses required to run the center. To start, the projected annual operational budget will be between $400,000 and $500,000. These expenses will include a director to engage the small business and entrepreneurial community, as well as expanding partnerships within the full small business ecosystem of Metro. The center will also require staff to run daily operations, as well as the various programs and events. Finally, marketing and promotion will be key to growing awareness and galvanizing engagement. To support this budget, Fisk will raise an endowment of $10 million over the next 3 years. Given Fisk's track record of raising $70 million plus in the last 6 years, we feel extremely confident that this goal will be met. Furthermore, since announcing the possibility of an incubation center, Fisk has received inquiries from a host of companies interested in supporting. These include Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, Truist, and Meta, to name just a few. In addition to the endowment, Fisk will be soliciting corporate support to assist with ongoing programming and new initiatives. Finally, the center will also have a revenue-generating capability in terms of rentable corporate offices and event spaces to create an active, successful, and sustainable entrepreneurial environment. Second, I'd like to emphasize once more the uniqueness of this center, and specifically the academic component thereof. For many entrepreneurs, human capital, a collaborative and affordable space, research, innovation, and expertise are the critical factors for success. A whole community of minority entrepreneurs, small business owners, and students will benefit from the essential resources already present at Fisk, along with the other partners we have brought to the table, to substantially increase the probability of growth and long-term success. Fisk has been a pillar of North Nashville for over 150 years, and yet the Fisk of the last 6 years is a different institution than ever before. With record enrollment, operational surpluses, and a #1 Forbes ranking for academic effectiveness and student outcomes, Fisk is poised for an exceptionally bright future. The built-in intellectual capital, the location on Jefferson Street, right down from one of the largest tech companies in the world coming to Nashville, Oracle, and the cutting-edge research capabilities all provide a critical mass of supporting factors for community entrepreneurs and small business owners to excel at unprecedented levels. To be specific, the center will provide a host of services and programming, including in partnership with the EC, Corner to Corner, and the Nashville Technology Council, all of whom you've heard from today, as well as other partners who are simply waiting for the space to be ready. We've already discussed various opportunities to co-host sessions and share resources around mentorship and advising. We expect the programming of the center will include workshops, pitch competitions, hackathons, industry days, certification programs, financial literacy sessions, network mixes, speaker series, lectures, and leadership development. These sessions will not only be open to students and faculty, but to the community as a whole. We expect that we'll be able to serve hundreds, if not thousands, of entrepreneurs and small business owners each year. While the overall scope of the center will be STEM-focused, we intend to hold monthly open houses for entrepreneurs and small businesses from all sectors to access the standard wraparound services and resources available through the center and our many partners. These services will include CPA services, technology support, marketing, legal services, business planning, and very importantly, perhaps most importantly, access to capital in all forms to meet the local entrepreneurs where they are in their business journey, whether that is early stage angel/seed investors, later stage venture capital and private equity investors, or just a basic fundamental business loan. During the construction build-out, we will start programming immediately. We'll create an advisory board to establish the processes for entrepreneurs and students to take advantage of the full scope of resources and programming. And I'll end with this. As a small private HBCU, FIST does, or has at least in the last 6 years, operated as a 155-year-old startup, itself capable of responding and acting swiftly and efficiently to a dynamic economy, much swifter, might I say, than larger institutions. This enterprising spirit makes this public-private partnership so uniquely exciting for the future of Nashville as a leading city for minority entrepreneurs. Thank you.
So earlier I had mentioned that I typically don't write speeches, but I need to get my words in. And I was in Deputy Mayor's office recently, and I did tell her about the movie I couldn't remember a second ago called The Butler. And again, if you go back and watch it, and if you remember the scene when Nixon was there and he was talking about getting the black vote, he said, "Black capitalism, that's it." But he just didn't stop with black capitalism for the election. He changed the regs to make sure that SBA did its job in creating and building black wealth in this country. The person that he got advice from is actually from Clarksville, Tennessee, and I talked to him 2 weeks ago because he is a mentor to my mentors who were at the Clinton White House rewriting the rules and regulations to expand black wealth in this country. So I forgot to mention that because I was reading, but I remember it when I was sitting in the office telling you that. So, Deputy Mayor, we're going to hear from you now.
Okay, I'm going to try to leave it all on the field because this is very personal for me. And I was doing good until you spoke, Patrick. I was doing good. So I need you to apologize for that. But I'm going, can somebody tell a joke or something? No, I'm going to be okay. And the reason this is so personal is because I'm probably the oldest in the room at 71, going on 72 next year. And much of what the younger people can articulate and share, I've lived it. I can remember being a student at Moses McKissick School, 1st through 4th grade. And I had teachers that instilled so much in us. They told us how gifted we were, and they told us how beautiful we were. And I remember my 3rd grade teacher telling me that I was a leader, and I didn't even know what that meant. Then we moved to East Nashville, where I became a student at Inglewood Elementary School as a 5th and 6th grader. And then I told my mom in 1963, when I was 12 years old, I wanted to march with Martin Luther King and John Lewis and all the others. And she told me I was too young. Well, I actually told her that when I was about 8. And she says, "You're too young." And but then upon finishing 6th grade, I had the opportunity to, you got a tissue for me, baby girl? She replaced me on the couch. I just didn't even realize. Thank you, Amy. She replaced me on the council. Thank you, God. So anyway, when I was 12, my little white friend at Inglewood told me I couldn't go to Stratford because I was the N-word. And I said, well, my daddy told me I could go anywhere I wanted to go. So I, along with 3 of my little African-American friends, we integrated Stratford School. It was 7th through 12th grade. They give me credit, which I don't deserve, for being the first to integrate the school because I got there at 5 o'clock. The other 2 young ladies came at 7 when school opened. But I had read in the paper what was going to happen, and I knew if my dad pulled me up over there and saw what I was going to be subjected to, he wouldn't have left me. And so I talked him into taking me early. He left me. But anyway, to move right along, the reason I told that little story, I can remember in 1963 that I have a dream speech in August, and we integrated the school in September, and the 4 little black girls in Birmingham, 16th Avenue Baptist Church, that incident happened that fall. And I kept thinking that could have been us. Then I remembered they told me that we weren't going to be anything. And I attended TSU, and I saw the bridge, and all these things happen. I'm going to fast forward here. And I remember wanting to become a teacher because the teachers meant so much in my life. And I just remember being invisible at Stratford. And I remember saying, I'm going to prove something to you all. I went on and finished college, and I became a teacher, and I taught a lot of the kids, of the students that told me I wasn't going to be anything. But anyway, after writing a 501c3, and when I started teaching, it was it was a challenge for me, and the biggest challenge was I felt like in '86, I was fighting the same battle that I fought in 1963. And I said, well, when will this ever end? And I think I'm sitting here and I'm wondering why I'm so emotional. And I think it comes from the fact that I still think I'm fighting that same battle. And this is like 60 years later. And it's heart-wrenching. And someone in the mayor's office says, I wonder why they, whoever they may be, don't understand. And I was sharing that unless you've walked a mile in a person's shoes, it's hard to understand. But anyway, I was on the council with John Cooper, and I was on the council with Ed Kendall. And Ed Kendall is probably 5 years old. I remember him. His wife died suddenly last Friday. And I've been in conversation with him. He's at the funeral home right now. And he was on the school board, and he's an attorney, and he's all that good stuff. And I talked to him about Revis Mitchell that was in school. He was a professor, you know Revis, at FIS, and he was at Pearl with my brother. And I was always very interested in history, and I read a lot. And so when I would talk to Ed, he would talk about Jefferson Street. He was born there, and he wrote a book. And much of what I have here came from his book. We talked about what I would say. I talked about it to Ed. He said, hey, well, share some of the things that I've written. And I said, Ed, I would do that. And I talked to him right before I came here. And I said, Ed, I'm going to share some of the things you've wrote. But anyway, I know you've been here a long time, but I just had to tell you why I was weeping. I'm a preacher, I'm an ordained minister, and I'm led by the Holy Spirit. And when I'm preaching, we always have a title. And in the mayor's office, I have an initiative called the Communities of Color. And I entitled it, and it's going to be the title of this. This is the movement, our message, and the moment, from surviving to thriving. Oh yeah, my glasses. Beginning humbly at Fisk University, professor and historian Dr. Revis Mitchell called it a wide footprint. Jefferson Street was birthed and began its epic journey towards historical significance. One of the hubs of hundreds of thriving Black and white businesses and unparalleled culture in Nashville, Tennessee was North Nashville, known as Jefferson Street in particular. It was inundated with promise from the 1940s to the early 70s, keeping in mind that Jefferson Street provided necessary services for most of the African American citizens in the entire city. Approximately 37 blocks of Jefferson Street from 2nd Avenue to 35th house a wide gamut of Black and white businesses, entrepreneurs. Their primary intent was to take care of virtually every human need of the community. However, segregation and the Jim Crow laws were still alive and well during most of that period. Blacks could not gravitate freely or comfortably to many other sections of Nashville. You all would know anything about that, I do. Without feeling the sting of racial discrimination, many of the Black businesses like beauty and barbershops, funeral homes, and drugstores were plentiful up and down Jefferson Street. Though virtually servicing all Black clientele, they still managed to survive and often thrive despite not having the broad support of the white community. Due to the location of these establishments, they provided really accessible sources for a community of mostly walkers and bus riders, keeping in mind that Jefferson Street was not a pre-planned community as many of the other communities within Nashville. Jefferson Street evolved into a distinctive city within a city, providing every imaginable commodity and service to its surrounding neighbors. The educational and socioeconomic composition of the area was unique. I remember this, as opposed to most sections of Nashville's larger community. Doctors, lawyers, a college professor, teachers, custodians, day worker, laborers, business entrepreneurs, and a small percentage of unemployed people, all coexisting in love and support of each other. A rich array of celebrities, I remember this too, such as Jesse Jackson, Langston Hughes, my favorite. I used to teach my students as related to his writings. Anna Bontemps, B.B. King, Ray Charles, and a plethora of other celebrities too numerous to mention or to count. Due to the abundance of positive role models from every walk of life, our youth quickly learned, I was one of them, that failure was not an option, even though they told me I would fail. From the early 1960s through the 70s, and it was disguised as a noble move, but slowly the vitality from Jefferson Street was virtually destroyed. Most of the businesses were displaced, and many of the property owners. Representative Love talked about what his dad told him when they lost their home due to the I-40. The construction of Interstate I-40 had the most immediate and profound impact on businesses and residents. While the primary focus is on Black residents and their entrepreneurial spirit, as business owners, we must not forget that they failed to escape the wrath of the interstate in their personal and professional lives. Our mission is to collaborate with all stakeholders to inspire, empower, and enhance lives within and beyond communities that have been left behind. I know about being left behind. Through the impact of providing all the necessary tools, information, resources, education, and access. Ultimately, and I'm almost done, our vision is to provide all the wealth-building tools for current and future generations. Please do not forget to remember that we cannot speak of Jefferson Street without highlighting the three historically Black institutions of higher learning, Fisk, Tennessee State, and Meharry Medical College. They were all very important to me. Fisk and is still looked upon both locally and nationally. We're talking about Fisk, and particularly as a small but prestigious fine arts college established for Negro children of freed slaves. When I wanted to go to Fisk as an 18-year-old, they told me I couldn't go because I was too brown. It was for the mulatto students. It was for the kids where the white masters impregnated the slave ladies, and that's how that school, that's the story I was told as an 18-year-old. You're too dark. And I said, well, the Jubilee Seniors pictures, they're darker than me. But we'll just have to research that. During the 40s, 50s, and 60s, the majority of the students came from across the country at Fisk. Fisk had a rather large entrance requirement. You really had to be smart to go to Fisk. That's one of the reasons I wanted to go, and I qualified. It is a claim that Fisk graduated more black students who went on to become doctors and lawyers than any other school during that particular era. In fact, among current practicing black physicians, lawyers, and dentists, 1 in 6 is said to be a Fisk graduate. In conclusion, if I'm preaching, I would say, as I take my seat, but since I'm already sitting. In conclusion, this is our moment, our message, and our movement to transform lives. If not now, then my question I pose would be when. My personal wait has been 60 years. Thank you for your time, your attention, and above all, thank you for your service. Thank you.
And on that note, I guess just FYI for you, Mary Jo, we just happened to meet in the hallway that a member of the public showed up. So I don't know how you guys handled that.
Welcome. Thank you. So, I've heard all of the statistics. My name is Rolanda Brooks, and I'm going to say metaphorically, I'm the why. I'm the why you should do it. I'm a perpetual entrepreneur. I'm a chemist by trade, graduated from Tuskegee University, did a wonderful research project during my junior year as an intern with Pepsi, got a scholarship, fixed the Lipton Tea Partnership for Pepsi because of the work that I did as a chemist, worked for them, decided I wanted to grow up and be a plant manager. That's what brought me to Tennessee. So I'm that C-suite person, but also my father started a restaurant when I was in Tuskegee. My husband and I owned a trucking company. So then I was laid off from my job in 2009. My children at that time, 8, 9, and 10, I'm doing science projects with them because they don't know that they can make a chair. I decide, I'm going to make some hair perfume, but I don't want any chemicals in it. So we make a hair perfume, I throw it under the sink. One day I'm doing my hair, I spray it on there because the curling iron singe, I didn't like it after I washed it. Went to sleep, wrapped it up, it was like Febreze for your hair. So I took my children to trade shows. Southern Women's Show, I took them to Atlanta to Bonner Brothers because I wanted them to know how to do trade shows at the high end. Took them to all of the farmers markets and they sold their product. Well, guess what? You can't pay taxes on a product. Oh, okay. So all of my other businesses were sole proprietors. So I decided I'm going to incorporate. I use the resources that we have available. I use PTAC. I did, if you do a work week for a year for 40 hours at 2,080 hours in a week, I studied to put together a corporation over 5,000 hours. I took every SBA class. I've met LaTanya. You'd be surprised how many people I know in the hall because of the work that I've done. So 2019, we incorporate. I'm ready to roll. The pandemic hits, and I'm like, So we pivot at the end of 2021, okay? So right now, my challenge, if there was an incubation center, I like to think that I would have been able to accelerate those 5,000 hours. And let me just tell you, let me take you into the imagination of the products that I have. I have a PPE product. We call it Fanny Sannies. To make a quick point on it, it's kind of cheesy, sounds like a commercial right now, but we say wiping without Fanny Sannies is like washing your hands without soap. We've been through a pandemic. We don't do this on the go, but those germs are there. So I believe that if I had the research, I could prove that it eliminates germs, even maybe COVID. And it definitely would reduce the wastewater markers of COVID. I have no place to do the research. I'm bootstrapping this thing. We've done a second mortgage on my house so I can do an office space. But it would be nice if I had the manufacturing facilities and I could put together the AI technology for production today. If my product was selling and it would do in the market what I said it's going to do, it wouldn't perform like hand sanitizer, which is a $1.8 billion industry, you would have a $1.8 billion company right now. But we have no incubation center for that. So I have to go through the hard task of figuring everything out. I've read everything about small business credits, Tennessee Investco, because I said, oh, maybe I need to do seed funding to speed this process up. I've read everything about SBIR, the seed funding that America has for research and technology, but I'm already in the market. So then those are some other things that make the challenge. So when you're talking about an incubation center, I'm the reason that you need it. We would have a whole different landscape. And I like to tell people, diversity and equality for me is give me the resources to become a Fortune 500 company. Because since 1955, out of the 2,200 Fortune 500 companies that have existed, only one has been black, and that's BET. If I'm a Fortune 500 company, we wouldn't need Metro's $10 million. You see what I'm saying? This would be a no-brainer. But we don't have that because, as he said, the things for people that look like me, it's a challenge. I'm out here in the trenches. And that's why you need it. That's why my community needs it. And let me just tell you, I have 3 beautiful young people, 21, 22, 23. My oldest, he graduated from Tennessee Tech. My 22-year-old, she's graduating in December from Belmont. My 21-year-old is graduating from Belmont in May. They're products of Nashville Public Schools. These are things that you can sink your teeth into saying, I contributed to this. Nashville produced this for the next generations. Because I am the why, and my children are the why. Now, we may not be able to use the incubation center today, and we're going to continue to do the strides that we have to do to build our company, but this is why it's needed, because I'm not the only one. There are thousands more. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Questions?
What was your name? I'm sorry.
My name is Rolinda Brooks. My company is Be Natural Company. Any other questions? Comments? Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Thank you all. Thank you for this presentation today. Thank you for bringing this to us in this very comprehensive way. This is, first let me say, I'm a product of Fisk University. Let me be full transparency here. I'm a graduate of Fisk University, and Fisk has done a lot for this community. Fisk is 156 years old. As has been stated before, the contributions that Fisk University and graduates and students of Fisk University have given to this city, from the sit-ins all the way up to now, it has been insurmountable. And for whatever reason, our city has not invested and appreciated Fisk the way that I think it should have. And so I like this program for several reasons. One, it's innovative in that it's a public-private partnership that's helping build access or build black wealth through small business, through business and entrepreneurship in the city, and focusing on STEM and technology, which I think is unique. I'm not aware of anything else like this in the country. There may be, but that is unique in itself and innovative in itself. Secondly, this would provide support to an HBCU, Fisk University, a 156-year-old university that has done and given a lot to the city and has not received that same reciprocity over the years. Secondly, this would help build black wealth in the zip code 37208, which we all know has the highest incarceration rate in the country. Part of that has to do with poverty, lack of education, lack of access. This would help address that. And thirdly, this would provide business support for minority businesses through technical support, collaboration, access to business capital. As a small sole proprietor business woman myself, having a facility or a place where a small business person can scale the business, because that's the challenge too. We have over 3,000 businesses that start. The challenge is scaling and thriving, and that's what this program would provide in the North Nashville community. So for those reasons, you know, aside from me being a big FISC advocate, these are important things that will help build Black wealth in our city and help finally, as our Deputy Mayor eloquently explained, finally putting our money where our mouth is and providing that support that we desperately need and deserve. Thank you. That's what I have to say.
I agree with everything that everybody has said. No question about it. Everything that Council Lady Gamble just said, Ms. Brenda, well, Deputy Mayor.
I can be Ms. Brenda.
I know, I'm like Ms. Brenda. Ms. Brenda called several days ago, whenever that was, and we discussed it, and she asked me to pray about it and pray for it, and I did, and I will continue to do that. And I see there's no question about the value. There's no question about the need. It is time for this type of investment, for sure. It's important to support our HBCUs. It's important to support our Black community, Jefferson Street corridor, Black entrepreneurs, expand that, all of those things. It's unbelievably important. The time is now, 100%. There's a conflation here between the incubation center and what the ask is actually for, because we're not investing in an incubation center. We are renovating a building. Yes, it will house this incubation center, but this $10 million investment, which is large in relation to $380 million, but that's as far as the different investments that we have made throughout this whole process, 2 years, or it seems like 20. 10 million is a big ask, and it's to renovate a building that has been in disrepair for a really long time, boarded up I think since 2009, according to what I read. Talks in 2019 about demolishing it, and thank God that didn't happen, because to your point, it is a historic structure, and that's a big thing with me too. I want those historic structures, with, especially knowing that it was a Black architect. That's very important. I'm a no vote, but I do believe this will happen. I feel really confident that this incubation center will happen. We have a business community second to none in Nashville that I think would be chomping at the bit to invest in this and be a part of this renovation, to be a part of this incubation center. So many businesses. Oracle is right down the street. It has every reason to invest in it. We've turned down and reduced in size the investments that we've made recently because they are not Metro assets. If I'm going to invest in an asset, I want that asset to be on Metro's balance sheet, and I'm going to stand up for the taxpayer every single time on that. I am personally willing to go and help you raise money, this $10 million, to whatever business is out there, to whatever philanthropist is out there, because I want this to happen. This isn't an investment in the programming like we've done with others. This is an investment in an asset that we don't own. And so for that reason, I have to be a no. Is it an approved use? Probably. Is it appropriate? I just don't think so. Doesn't mean that it's not worthy. It 100%, 150,000% is worthy, and I know that it's going to happen. And again, I will do whatever I can. I'll go with Miss Brenda. and do whatever I can. I want to support this, and I do support it. I just have a hard time wrapping my brain around writing a check for $10 million of taxpayer dollars, especially when we have so many Metro-owned buildings in such need. We just allocated 2.1, I forgot now, to Metro Action Commission, and there's a list of all the things that needed to be done, and one of them was a Head Start facility that didn't have fire suppression sprinklers. We've got so many needs from a capital perspective in this city that I just can't get there with this, and so it's like I hate voting no, because it hurts my feelings. But I'm going to continue to pray, and like I said, I will work and do what I can do to help save the building, number one, to help get that incubation center. I'm an entrepreneur. I've started a couple of businesses. I know how hard it is, and I had no help. I probably didn't do it right, but anyway, thank y'all for being here, and I really appreciate everybody's emotions behind it. I know it's emotional. And I will never understand that because of the color of my skin. I will never understand that. But I'm pulling for it and rooting for it, and I will do whatever I can. Do committee first.
Okay. Before you vote, I just want you to vote no because I don't think we directly addressed those two concerns, and I just wanted to give you a little bit more information before you vote no. If you vote no, you vote no. But I didn't want it to be because we somehow left out that in our 45-minute.
65.
Yeah, right. I started my timer late. I'm sorry.
65. Close to 15.
I can wait.
That you promised.
If you want to do other comments first.
Yeah, I'd like.
Sure.
Can I just ask a quick
want the rest
question,
of the
though?
committee.
Respectfully, it's federal dollars, so does it matter to you that it's federal versus city, particularly with the example that I gave? And I say this because, in my mind, Nashville should be doing better than Memphis. In my mind, if Memphis could find city dollars to renovate a privately owned building, to put those resources that we're talking about, I don't understand why Nashville couldn't do it years ago. And Memphis did that. Long before they renovated that building, they did it and created spaces for it. And I want Nashville to be better, and I've seen around this state where we lag far behind.
And I'm not going to disagree with you. Are they taxpayer dollars? Yes. As soon as they hit our bank account, those belong to Nashville, Davidson County, and those are taxpayer dollars, 100%. Where we're different than Memphis, maybe, is we have an exceptional business community. We've got worldwide businesses that are here that have the ability and the want to invest in things just like this, and it's so appropriate. It's so appropriate for a business like Oracle or Amazon or Google or the Titans.
The
Titans, to come in and say, I mean, the Titans are giving $1 million to football fields for the kids. I mean, so I think there's so much opportunity out there. Again, I'm not questioning the value of what we're trying to do. I'm questioning the source of funds. I want to help you find the other source of funds.
Just one final thing, I'm shutting up. Just respectfully, in my federal government experience, and I have nearly 30 years, I know I look like I'm 20, but I'm way over 50. There has never been a prime opportunity for a local government like this to tap into federal government resources and be innovative with it without restrictions and ties. And that's why I'm passionate about it, putting aside all the passionate reasons that made us cry. That, for me, is huge. And that's why I'm leaning into Jens, and have been leaning into Jens going, tell me more about the programming, because I want to see this to do what no other city in the state.
And that's another concern. That's another concern is we're asking questions about the programming, and again, we're not investing in the programming. We're investing in the asset.
Oh, I understand.
And so let's just say, horrifically, the incubation center fails. Then we've invested $10 million into a building that we don't own that will be used for what? If we were investing in the programming of it, man, I could get behind that. I could really get behind that, because that's when I know we're investing in the people that are doing it, the programming, the this, the that, but that's my problem, is investing in an asset that we don't own, that we will never own, that could or could not be used as an incubation center. There's no guarantee that that's what it is. So again, I'm praying. I'm going to continue to pray, and I know this will happen. Like, there's no question in my bones that this is going to happen for you guys.
Well, I have to say this, having been at this now for 7 years in terms of fundraising, and really having broken the corporate ceiling, including in Nashville, in terms of how hard it is to get $1 million. We've raised $71 million over the span of 6 years. That exceeds anything FIST did in the previous 30 years. I can take you through the hardships of that process and how many Nashville companies are in the 7-figure donation game. Currently, 1. The rest of them come from New York, Chicago, California, not Nashville. So I think it's important. It sounds like it would be a shoo-in, but this is really a unique public-private partnership. If we go back and I break down for you the $71 million, the single largest donation is $3 million. Again, not out of Nashville, out of New York, or out of Texas. So it sounds, and we're pretty good at it, right? The fact that we've done in 6 years what they previously did in 30. Yeah. It sounds good to say we can get in the right doors, but this is a unique opportunity to engage the community, to generate economic growth. And I'm sorry, but the building is the condition for the possibility of this immaculate programming that we're going to take on, that we have resources that we can put to bear, done elsewhere very effectively in these incubation centers. But also, I think it's important to understand that I know it's a sort of a nominal distinction between the building and the program, but for entrepreneurs, the space is really crucial, right? You speak to any entrepreneur, it has to be vibrant, it has to be engaging. We can't just say, let's put up sort of a brick box and hope it works, right? When you speak to entrepreneurs, the repeated thing that comes up, and we did this with the architect, Brian Tibbs, really going through and how do we create elaborate, collaborative, engaging spaces for communities and students to interact. So it's more than just like our building and then like.
Well, and that was going to be my other question. I had it written down and I didn't get there. Was, is this the only place for this to be? And when we just funded the Magruder Center, which is in North Nashville as well, that we own that. Is that not a space that this could start anyway with an incubation center to expand on, the things that are going on there? Is there no other building? I want to support the Jefferson Street area. I want to support North Nashville. I don't think that Burris Hall is the only place that this could be. Again, I think, and to your point, it's frustrating to me that the money that you're receiving is not coming from Nashville businesses, because we've spent a lot of money to bring these big companies here, and it's time for them to invest, and I will say that on record. It's time for them to give back to this community. And some of them have, but that's an opportunity for these major companies to come in and make investments, not just in the infrastructure for their campus, which I get. Let's invest into the communities that they're coming to. So that's another.
If I may add briefly, just on the point representing the Nashville Entrepreneur Center about the importance of the space. So you heard from two partners tonight, Corner to Corner first, and the Nashville Entrepreneur Center. Corner to Corner is a partner that has an office, but space for the entrepreneurs. They loan from churches and from rec centers across the state. And even leveraging 12 different properties, they turn away 3,000 entrepreneurs every year. The Nashville Entrepreneur Center serves 2,000 entrepreneurs annually. So it's not about Burris Hall being the only space. It is another space where there is a very clear need, and space for building Nashville's entrepreneurs is certainly critical to seeing the success of businesses. So it's not the only, but it's another that's clearly needed.
If I question, please.
Yeah. And this may be directed, you may be answering this, but LaTanya, how, you mentioned in the beginning of the presentation how this Entrepreneur Center will fit within your role and your work in helping build small businesses, particularly Black-owned businesses in Nashville. What is Metro's part in this as far as having a presence at the building, whether it's space, programming. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Let Sam handle it.
Okay, that, I knew one of them.
I've talked too much.
Well, sure, and I actually think this kind of addresses both questions about what's our guarantee on, what happens if this doesn't raise the money? What happens if, the entrepreneurship, if for whatever reason the programming doesn't come together? I think a lot of that's going to be solved in assuming this committee recommends this go forward. That's going to be solved in the grant resolution in council. That'll be codified where Metro will have some number of years, we're still working this out with FISC, but some number of years, more than a decade, of access to the building for some amount of square footage for specific purposes around economic development. And that could look like any number of things. We don't want to tie ourselves into one thing because we just don't know how this will evolve over the years, but it could look like maybe the future of economic development, Latanya's team sits at Burroughs Hall. How great would that be? What if minority contracting sat out there? What if workforce development or some sort of small business resources? That sort of commitment from Metro to that building for more than a decade, I think is appropriate at our option, right? Because maybe the highest and best use of the building is not.
Sam, can I add something?
And the model already exists in Memphis. The city's ED, Economic Development Office, their minority contracting staff have space in that Universal Life building. The resource providers have space in that Universal Life building. The model exists.
Can I actually fully respect your no position. Like you've been unwavering since the first time we met, so it's something I usually do. But the comment I made earlier about listening to our better angels on this. This isn't ideal. I know it's not, right? But the hurdles that I mentioned that have existed for decades aren't ideal either. And sometimes when you use the word equity, it doesn't mean equal. It means overcompensating for something that wasn't there. And sometimes we have to make decisions for the greater good that might not be the easiest decision to make right now. That's the request at this point. Give us a chance out of committee to bring this to the full council, to let the community know, to let the community sink in on it, right? Council members will know if the community's like, there's no way I can, but give us that chance on that. And, all things are unique. I mean, I remember hearing people upset about the city's commitment to Hickory Hollow Mall for Vanderbilt, right? But when you think about what Vanderbilt is able to do if they had that property, right? It's gonna change Antioch in a way that you have to say, that's a unique situation. You gotta let that happen because Vanderbilt can do what the city is never gonna be able to do if you just give them something there. And it's just again, a request to overcompensate and get this out of committee to see how far it goes. But I do like your no position. I love that you dig in.
Yes. Thank you all for being here and for speaking. We got all the letters and the presentation, and I loved hearing from you. I was a big history buff, and I'm a nerd in that way, and I just loved listening to stories. I didn't have grandparents who had the American side of the story, so I told someone that it would be fun for me to go sit in a retirement home and just listen to people. But I appreciate a lot of your wisdom from many of you. I'm one of the youngest ones here. I see someone who's probably younger than me in the corner. But I am one of the youngest ones here, and so I didn't have those experiences, right? My experiences were very different. Coming from a Mexican immigrant background with parents who only made it through elementary school, who worked fields picking flowers for 25 cents a dozen. So the generational gaps and talking about generational wealth, I can understand that, right? I understand that aspect of it, and I see myself as a kindred spirit, right? I will never fully understand some of what your community has gone through. I have only experienced this side of it. And I am responsible for not only my district, but the entire Latinx community, being 1 in 3 Latinx elected officials in the state, and at 26 being charged with being the highest ranking one. And now here I sit at 29 with still having that responsibility. So when I listen to y'all and hear the needs of North Nashville, I can respect that, and I respect where Councilmember Gamble has to weigh this, and she's been part of that community for a long time, right? Since when? Since college?
Over 30 years.
Over 30. Don't date yourself, Jim. Yes, over 30 years.
I'm also over 50.
Yeah. Longer than me. Right? And so I get the responsibility of that. I also have a responsibility to Southeast Nashville, right? So Southeast Nashville has a very large African American population. And at this point, I don't even know if it's bigger than North Nashville's is at this point. We've grown quite a bit, right? And so I think if something like this were to happen, how do we make sure that Southeast isn't left out of this, right? We just bought a whole mall. My first question is, did we look at that property and seeing if that would be a good fit, or is the fit with this specifically because there is a partnership that has been worked on for several years? Would that be an option? It would solve one of our concerns, right? It being Metro-owned property that is in better conditions than most places, honestly, with space that is available. It makes sense to me, but maybe I'm missing something.
So can I just offer a little bit? When I was first asked to leave my good government federal job to come work in the city, one of the things I said to Mayor Cooper, I said, will you give me the latitude and room to create Black millionaires in the city? And he said, absolutely. In the city. He said, absolutely. And I said, and brown ones too. And then he asked me about, like I shared before, about the potential project at Burrs Hall. I said, but you need more. You need to have it in South Nashville as well. I think it's both. It's definitely important to have a center like this in North Nashville, but we need one in South Nashville as well. You need both. And quite frankly, again, based on my view, looking at the state, and then living here, because I've always made this my home, I don't know why we keep limiting ourselves to putting one here and putting just one. You need more. I mean, the demand is there all over the city. So it's both.
So,
Can I add to that? I have a little bit more context on both the Global Mall and how we arrived at Burrs Hall. So, Councilwoman, I think this goes to one of your questions. Burrs Hall was actually the original location for this. Like, we looked at a lot of locations. We knew we needed to grow economic development centers across the city, and Burrs Hall is just the lowest cost, honestly, market entry option for us, right? We don't have to acquire the land. We don't have to do the site prep. We don't have to do construction of a new building for a $10 million federal grant. We're able to activate a new entrepreneur center in an area of known need. So that's how we ended up at Burrs Hall. I think it ultimately saving tens of millions of dollars. I would venture to guess by arriving at the location. For Global Mall, I think a heavy focus on economic development for Southeast Nashville is almost certainly going to come out of the community planning process. But that mall right now is in the planning process, and so what we've heard childcare certainly, we've heard small business resources, but these are not one fit all or one size fit all solution, both from a programmatic standpoint, from a financing standpoint, and from a who's served standpoint. And so I think, to echo what Latanya, it's a both and, almost certainly. We just don't really know what's going to quite come out of the community process at Global Mall. So what we have is the opportunity in front of us It's a center that will be open to all community members regardless. You know, if you've tried driving from Fisk to the Bell Road exit in Antioch, you know, that's probably not the most convenient commute. So you need both, right? But this is the opportunity in front of us. We believe this is the right financing plan for this renovation, for the lowest cost entry to this market if Metro wants to play in the entrepreneurship ecosystem in North Nashville.
And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even vote for the Global Mall. I abstained on that one.
And then one final thing in my role prior to coming here. With federal SBA, my mission was to bring federal dollars to the state, and because I was selfishly living here, making sure we had more small business resources here in Nashville. The level of red tape it is to bring federal dollars for programming is pretty high, because it was my job to review that they followed all the guidelines, right? Again, federal dollars coming here with no restrictions through ARPA funds.
There's some restrictions. There's restrictions.
Well, I mean,
There's plenty of restrictions.
So no restrictions that we cannot put it into a capital project. Let me be clear, because there are none. No restrictions on that whatsoever. It's unusual, period, and very definitely unusual for me in my 30-plus years of federal government monitoring what we do with those dollars. Taking that oath to protect the taxpayer dollars has always been important to me, and definitely more important now that I'm here.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
Yeah. There's a question in here, but just bear with me. I guess everybody had a lot of time, and this is something I've been thinking a lot about, and even made some notes. I'm not going to read all my notes, but because it's one of those proposals that really, it's been in my mind since the last time that we were together. I gotta say, first of all, thank you all for the very thorough program and the advocacy and the emotion that everybody's brought to it. I think it's been very helpful to me, and it's been a very good conversation. The narrative and the spirit of the message from last time is very different from what I heard today. I can tell you that last time there was a spirit of there's no one doing this and we're going to go do it, and today you have proven that that's not the case. That was one of the things that I was left with last time, and you brought today those folks that in my mind I even commented that day. It's like there are a lot of people that aren't here, that we're not hearing, that you've addressed that today effectively, right? And so I appreciate that, and that's been helpful. I gotta say that I'm a community member in this. That's my role in this committee. I'm not a council member. I'm just a resident of Nashville, a place that I love, and so that's my perspective, and that's the hat that I'm wearing here. And when the mayor asked me a year, because I didn't do the first round of allocations, but when the mayor asked me years to serve, I thought this was a very important and a very unique opportunity. And so I've taken that role very, very judiciously and very important, care about it. And entrepreneurship is something I deeply care about. And it is the bridge. And it's something I've been in this space for 20 years, right? And so it is through that lens that just my mind has been swirling since I heard that first presentation. So let me share just a couple of thoughts. I really want the record to reflect, and everybody here, I am not opposed to the idea of supporting entrepreneurship and the entrepreneurship ecosystem and supporting this project. And in particular, to bring resources to these underrepresented communities. Absolutely. There is nothing that has been said today that I don't agree with 110%. It is really quite the opposite. This is an opportunity. Many people today have said this is the moment. The moment is right. It hasn't been done. From like, well, here's the money to this is a community that's been neglected to the moment that Nashville is living. The moment is now. So I'm glad that we're talking about this and that this conversation is very important. A lot of people are paying attention to it, and a lot of people care about it, of course. We need to harness the power of entrepreneurship, right? We understand those in the space. No, it's the engine for community advancement and prosperity and transformation and everything you said, 125%. There's a strong need, a tremendous opportunity. Having said that, here's a piece that you know, and again, it's a conversation more like me telling you this is why I'm struggling. It's really I just want to open the conversation to have this discussion. We're talking about $10 million, right? And $10 million, as has been to a capital asset. Now, I don't have, because I'm not on the council, I don't have that lens or that perspective about, you know, it needs to be on the balance sheet or it doesn't. Like that's not my lens. To me, it's more like we're looking at $10 million investment in deploying and supporting the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and in particular, underrepresented entrepreneurs, right? And so to me, the next question is this the best way? If we have $10 million, is this the best way to go and say, go do the building? Listen, I understand the importance of a good space, of a welcoming space, of a beautiful space, right? I get that 100%. But what is not connecting with what I'm having, what I get stuck with it is the fact that, you know, we have 40 letters here, and we've heard today from places like Corner to Corner and the EC and the work that the EC is doing with Twende and all. And, you know, these organizations have $1 million, $2 million budgets a year at most, right? And so here's the, you know, part of what I think about is there not a way? What's going to happen? Like these organizations that are here today and saying, yeah, we need this, we want this. When they're asked to step up to the plate and say, we need you to deliver the services, we want you to activate the partnership. What's going to happen at that moment? They're going to be like, well, I can't because we need another two people to. Are we creating a void by just say? Is it not a better question to say? Let's take some of this in the way that we talked to the folks on the prior request. Is there not a way to use part of this money as the down payment, as a heavy down payment for the actual capital asset that then can be leveraged, that then can be gone and go to those banking, corporate, philanthropy, others, leverage and say, hey, we got $5 million, we got $3 million in the bank. Let's raise the other 7 and create some space, some bandwidth, and take some of that money to say, hey, maybe through your office, right? Of course, because this is work that you know very well, and say, let's deploy some programming money to the different organizations to support the programming that's going to happen there. And so that's where I'm stuck. So I'll stop here in a minute. So what am I missing? So help me fill in the voids, right? That's one thing. I'll stop here in a second. So, you know, again, I want everybody to really, I hope I'm conveying, I'm a champion for entrepreneurship, and I'm there. I want to help think with, if it's helpful, think with folks about how do we do that? How do we not create a situation in which 3 years from now that we have a beautiful building, and then there's just all these organizations that have not been taken into account to provide the services, the programming that is such an important part, right? I know what it takes to create a programming, and I know it takes twice as long, and as writing an entrepreneur, it takes twice as long and twice the amount of money. Where's that coming from? Where is that? I guess I would have wanted this conversation, right, to zoom out a little and to have that conversation about this is how we support the underrepresented entrepreneurial ecosystem. This is a small part of it. And that's not the conversation to be like, let's do this. We'll get some others to say, yeah, that's needed, and we'll support. See, and that's where I'm struck. Having said that, right, I hear you. You made a compelling argument, right? I'm not a no, because it needs to try. It needs to see where it goes, right? This needs to happen. I'm not a council member. I don't have a lot of power. I don't have a lot of beef. I want to see this happen, right? So I'm not going to prevent it from happening. I guess I'm more, I would have wanted to have this conversation to be a little bit higher level strategy from those that are leading it around, again, the programming piece. And I hope that kind of makes sense. And so, all right, I think I spoke shorter time than you did.
This has been our best presentation, or our longest anyway. And I was supposed to be, no, it was the best though. I was supposed to be an hour and a half ago, and I would have missed this. And to that end though.
At least it wasn't bored.
No, not at all. But we're missing a couple of committee members that, I stayed because I wanted to vote. Should we defer this till they're here? Because I think they're pretty passionate about it as well. I'm a yes vote, by the way. I guess we're supposed to declare that all of a sudden. I so disagree with something that you said. You said this is not ideal for a lot of reasons, but I think it's so ideal for a lot of reasons. Fisk has been out kicking any expectations for 160 years. The fact that anyone's even thinking that maybe something can fail, it might, but they'll retool it and make it better. You've only been doing it against odds forever, and you've been neglected forever. So I don't want to get on my soapbox, but
get on it.
I would feel really guilty if I wasn't here for the vote and it passed if I was against it, or it failed if I was for it. And I don't know what we normally do. Me and Roberts, I don't even know him. I don't know what his rules are. But should we defer it?
We did get letters from Vonda McDaniel, who's on the committee, who's not here, very much supports the project. Representative Harold Love, who couldn't be here, also sent a letter of support for the project. So we know that at least two of the members who are not here have expressed their support for the project. So I'm comfortable moving forward with that. I do understand Jose's issue with wanting more about the programming itself. And I think that will come as we build it out. But as far as the partners that have both expressed, Corner to Corner and Entrepreneur Center, there's a need for this, and they are going to be active partners.
I don't dispute that. I get it. I hear. I know those organizations. I've worked with them. I love them. I respect them. I've been on their boards. Right? I don't. It's not about that, right? Okay. But here's a very pragmatic thing, and maybe that's just the way I'm wired, right? It's like the higher level strategy. Corner to Corner has a $1 million a year budget, right? What they have how many people on their wait list? Right?
3,000.
So how are they going to be supported a year from now when there's a space? It's like, we got 3,000 people. So, and again, it might be that, well, you build it and then it will come, and maybe that's part of that, but I just haven't heard that part of the conversation, and that's why I, it short circuits in my head. But is this up to this committee to drive strategy?
No, and that's, so we've obviously both with DC and with Corner to Corner have, whether it's the academy that will be hosted there. There's the twin day. All these. There's so much opportunity for this center to accommodate many of the programs that, for example, Corner to Corner is kind of they expressed right at the back of a church, a community center. This invites everybody in to be part of the program because we have some amazing programming, including Corner to Corner. It's just that they don't have.
But I think part of the question is, will some of the operating budget fund
absolutely.
Like money,
yes,
not just
absolutely.
space,
No,
money to the nonprofits that need to grow to continue to serve. Isn't that what you were asking?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Partnership.
Thank you. But partnership, again, I don't want
money. Because you need funding.
Partnership is not come use our space, right? Partnership is, and what I'm saying is, if we have $10 million, right? If we have $10 million, should we? Again, this isn't what Fisk wants to hear, but should we be thinking as a city, hey, let's take 5 and give to Fisk, and then Fisk, let Fisk figure out the financial model to raise the other 5 to get this thing done, and then deploy 5 amongst the entrepreneurial ecosystem partners already, right? Doesn't it make sense to say, hey, Corner to Corner, here's for the next 3 years, here's $500,000 a year, so that you can truly deliver on what has been pitched here, and Twin Day, and the incubation center has been mentioned today, and the many efforts that are happening. All right, the stuff that Jumpstart is doing, the stuff that Sherry Dutchman is doing. There's a lot happening around the support of the underrepresented entrepreneur in town at all different levels, right? And so the thing that I'm concerned about is those organizations, again, the AC's budget is $2 million a year, right? And so how is that part of the larger conversation?
Yeah, I think I hope we're not conflating that this is just an annex so that those places have a place to come. This is a coalition of places that try to make an impact, and there's a need because there's a gap with this community and this place and these people that they can't serve. We also need to be cognizant. It's like paying down your credit card bills, right? You can put the minimum payment on 5 credit card bills. You'll never pay it off. But if you take your paycheck and pay off 1, you make a huge impact. Your credit score goes up, you're a little less in debt, and then you can focus on the next one, right? If we try to be overly judicious and spread a little bit of money to get instant credit for spreading a little bit of money around, it's not the same impact. I'm not saying you're wrong. I was listening to you and I was like, I'm following where you're going. What you're asking for is I need to hear great detail on the programmatic side. Just as you asked 2.5 months ago, I need to hear great detail on the partnership side. That's possible. It becomes a chicken and the egg because the vote is here. You have to make a vote. You have corporate partners and community businesses that say, I love what I'm hearing. I want to be a part of that. I can't wait till it's here. And now we have the decision maker saying, well, will you show me that that money's there for the programmatic piece? And then you have the people who are willing to commit to it say, I can't wait to see it so I can commit. There really is no way to guarantee what you're asking for. It's almost a leap of faith to say, if you drop this pebble in and allow the ripple to happen. And I'm speaking out of turn. I'm not a government person here. I don't know how this works. I don't even know if there's language to put in. If you were to say, this is approved, contingent on, I don't know if that's even legal.
I mean, that's possible, right?
Contingent on you coming back and showing me, I don't know how
That is possible, and I hear what Jose's saying, and I agree with a lot of it. I would actually be more comfortable with a lot of that. My problem first was putting money into something that wasn't ours, and I've been pretty consistent on this committee on everything. In my opinion, ending voting by myself a lot of the times because there are certain things I just fundamentally believe there are better ways to approach certain things. Honestly, the easy thing sitting on this side is voting yes, because you guys brought such a great case to why this is important, because we agree with that this does need to happen, and because you have the weight of the mayor's office that has also been advocating for this. That's the reality of it sitting on this side of it. I'm having a hard time. I want to, I like the idea of putting money into the programmatic side of it. And I would even meet you in the middle, and me personally, I would meet you in the middle and do, like you were saying, putting a bit of it into the actual structure. I would be comfortable with that. But that's taking Luis's thing.
Let me say, that's not what I'm proposing, right? That's not what I'm proposing, right? That's just what I'm saying. And again, maybe it's like, well, then shut up. But that's just, I just wanted to convey my thought process on, we are about to make a big commitment to something that's been neglected for a long time. And this is, and so let's look at it through the lens of abundance, right? And so this isn't a conversation about funding the building, but this is like, I mean, I wish, hindsight 2020, I wish we could zoom out and a year ago had a conversation with the stakeholders involved and said, hey, let's really, in a similar way to what we did with homelessness, right, or housing, and have that kind of a high level conversation about that. And so we start with this proposal, we start at the 10,000 foot level instead of the 30,000 foot level. And so are we robbing the city the opportunity to really really tackle this thing, right?
Can I just say one more thing right here too, and it's short. I want to make it unequivocally clear that, and we've said this over and over, to make it seem like this is just a venture for African Americans, for Black people. This is for everybody.
I get that.
Everybody come to, okay, that's clear. I was walking Jefferson Street and talking to some of the few business owners on Jefferson just last week. And I asked one guy that was over a home for disabled people on Jefferson, and I said, well, what one thing would you change about this area if you could? And the bridge was right there, the interstate, and there's the bridge and all. He said, the homeless people over there. He said, if we could just do something about those homeless people. And I went over there, and I thought, wow. And this lady that I spoke with, she was Caucasian. And I thought, man, this is somebody for the Entrepreneurial Center. Because everybody was born with gifts and talents. And everybody's like, there's room at the altar for everybody. It doesn't matter. Yes, it happens to be at a traditionally, historically Black college, but it's for everybody. And I just in my heart was burning to say that.
I'd like to make a motion, and I'd just like to address one of the things you said. For me, this is like the horse. The building is the horse. The program is the cart. So we got to get the horse. We got to get the building so that we can get the cart. And we have all of these partners that are going to be a part of that cart. That's good, and the horse is going to drive it.
Did we make a motion? I just want to make sure, because I had said I just wanted committee members to, did you get to, Sam, I didn't want to cut you off.
We can take the conversation offline, that's okay. I was going to address some of the programmatic questions that but I think.
Can we go to a vote? I mean, we've been doing this for almost 2 hours, and we can sit here until 9 o'clock, but I was supposed to be someplace at 6.
Move to approve the request for $10 million for the Entrepreneur Center at Burris Hall and Fisk.
Second that.
I have a second. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? Abstain? 4 in favor, 0 against, 2 abstentions.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. God bless you guys for sitting in here for 5 hours.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.